Biffle, we're all expecting Biffle to have a really good afternoon, right? No one seems to be able to stop him at the minute. Let's say he's approaching that 100-point marker, is just inside. Do they then calm down a little bit? They've set the pace early. Do they then think, okay, well, we can play back a little bit here, try and avoid some trouble and set ourselves up for endgame? That's the kind of thing I'm looking forward to seeing evolve throughout the day and seeing what other plays come in through this that isn't in our more traditional lineup.
Well, excited to talk more about that, especially with all three of us here. We're going to have to be able to spend some more time on some of that analysis. But I do want to talk a little bit more about the format and some extra notes. As per the usual, like we said, we've got our kill multipliers, right? So it's 2 times multiplier for first place. 2nd through 5th all get a 1.8 times multiplier. 6th through 10th, 1.6, and so on and so forth. So placement does matter, of course, when you're trying to tally up those points. Once you get past 100, though, you're playing for the win, right? But talk me through some of the bans here, Tiff, because I'm looking up this bans list, and it's quite lengthy to try to make this a fairly competitive experience. What are some of the big notes that kind of pop out on that list?
So some of the big notes, because you're right, it is a very lengthy list, is going to be that Signal 50 will be banned. We know that can be such a nuisance when it comes to customs, and we've seen it in a handful of tournaments. So this tournament, of course, not having it will be really interesting. However, they are going to allow 1 sniper permitted per team, whether that's the MCPR, whichever this team chooses, would be quite interesting because, yes, in a trio format, it would make sense to have 1 player on a sniper, and then you have your 2 kind of entry fraggers and your cleanup there. But in a duo format, does it actually make sense to go ahead and elect to have that 1 sniper? Well, I'll ask Enigma that later, but the FTAC Siege is also going to be banned. Hollow Point, that's going to be a really fun one that will be banned. You know, you just don't have that extra damage on the SMGs, but the Gaia skin, we saw that skin so much in Hideout, in Hide and Seek yesterday, but they are going to be eliminating that here today.
Yeah, a great breakdown, and there's a lot more on this list, but the Gaia skin, otherwise known for the people at home as the Groot skin, one that most people favor, and it has been banned today to try to have just at least some semblance of kind of competitive kind of fairness across the board for the players. This is something that the players voted on, which we're excited to bring to them. But any other things on that list, Enigma, that kind of pop out to you? I know Tiff kind of hit the highlights. One that pops out to me, throwing knives. I mean, talk to me a little bit about that, because in duos, kind of finishing off players really quickly using throwing knives is sometimes a strategy. I mean, you always see that in 2v2s, but in customs, who knows?
Yeah, I think it's just to raise that skill gap a little bit and stop instant finishes or instant cleanups. So perhaps in situations, we're also seeing situations where players get a little bit of damage, then land a throwing knife straight in there and down an opponent. Just perhaps, again, as you said, bringing in a bit of competitive fairness and balance. And again, these are things that have been often voted on. I think one of the things that surprises me a bit is that Hollow Point is out, which is, if you're not sure in chat, it's the one where you get reduced movement if you take damage. But we then see Overpressured, not banned, and Frangible, not banned. I'm very surprised by those two. Frangible is the one where it slows down your healing. Overpressured is the one that increases flinch. Both an absolute nightmare for me personally in ranked and driving me up the wall. But they're in today. They're here to stay, so the boys will be playing with them.
Yeah, I like it. Well, a couple other things. You can't have the Gulag re-entry kit, but otherwise, we're playing the game, and I'm excited for it. Again, Duos Customs today, so if this sounds super confusing, you can ask questions. Ultimately, all you need to know is that they're going to be going for kills. They're going to be going for placement multipliers, just like any other Warzone tournament you've watched. Just once they reach that 100-point cutoff, that's when they're probably going to be playing for the win and not being worried too much about kills, because that's how you win the tournament overall, especially when you're trying to earn $25,000, by the way, folks. I mean, 15K for second, still a sizable chunk of change, but a $10,000 jump for first place. Everybody wants to win. And my question for you two, as we have a moment here to talk about some of the teams, is who? And I'm not going to give you the pressure of making predictions yet, because I think we have a lot of games to get through. But let's talk about some of those duos that could win it all. And I'll start with you, Tiff. I mean, we were talking about the broadcast, right before the broadcast. Last Dance of Verdansk, last duos tournament, we had the Wonderland with the Baka Bros was a duos tournament. And Tommy and Almond won those. And they're not playing together, right? It's Tommy and Noobs, and it's going to be Almond and Braided. So talk me through some of the other duos.
Yeah, that'll be really interesting to see kind of how those separate duos fare. Obviously, Tommy and Noobs have that chemistry throughout the years, but Rated and Almond, you know, that'll be fun. But Ebates is playing with Prospect, right? Ebates typically played alongside DJ Moss, who's actually going to be playing with Super Evan today. Kind of had a little bit of a interesting change up after World Series of Warzone. A lot of teams are kind of looking to play with other people, but some of the tried and true chemistry is going to be holding out. Hisoka's playing with Skullface, and I always think they're going to be a team to keep an eye on, especially after their rise on Caldera. They've kind of continued on throughout Al Mazrah, stayed near the top, and honestly, they might be one of the people that can take it all.
Yeah, I think that's a great shout. Of course, some of our top World Series of Warzone talent, whether they're playing together or separate, they likely will have a good chance to win it all. And speaking of that talent, Biffle is playing, yes, again, and he has won almost every single tournament I've seen hosted over the last couple of months at this point, post World Series of Warzone. Biffle was playing with Sage yesterday for hide and seek, but today is actually playing with Shifty. So another great duo, of course, makes a lot of sense. There was some teams that had trios, and they've kind of separated between the 2 days, or might even be rotating throughout the day, so we'll keep you updated on those. But Enigma, any other teams that kind of pop out to you? I'm sure you're looking at a couple of the EU folks.
I mean, yeah, I'm looking at my European squads. I've got, for example, Enkyo and Spartan. Enkyo is a player that will not be on many people's radars, I don't think. He only just turned 18 just before the LCQs in the World Series of Warzone. He's a young French player who is incredibly aggressive, incredibly talented on the sticks, and I think has a lot of potential. I think one of the interesting things, actually, when it comes to the European side of things, is that Jukies and FIFA Kill remain split. There was a lot of conversation around that for the World Series of Warzone when they went their separate ways, having been a formidable duo throughout the years of Warzone. But yeah, today, then two opposing sides, but I'm expecting to see both of them towards those end stages up there in the money.
Yeah, I'm really glad you said that too, because as I had a chance to look back at the history, I've mentioned this a couple times, but every single, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but pretty sure I've got a database of it. Every single major duos customs event we've ever had in Warzone was won by either Tommy Allman, FIFA Jukies, or there was one, the Last Dance of Verdansk, that was won by Unrational and Scummin. None of those duos as a team are competing today, so we will see a new duo supremacy in duos customs. They can kind of lay claim to that and own that until the next big one. Who knows when that happens, but 70K on the line. This is one of the biggest ever, which is really, really exciting. So again, excited to see the different tactics we'll see today, the different teams we'll see today. There's a ton more content creators. Of course, a lot of your content creator friends and competitor friends and streamers that you follow are competing today. We've got Bubble CT with Wiz. We got Chrissy playing again together today with Clay. Danny, Breadman with Limax, Picnic Basket, Oakley Boy, Mutex playing with Wars. A ton of content creators out there, so feel free to check on your favorite content creator, see if they're playing today. And of course, you might see them here on main stage as we hop around perspectives. But I think the game's about to get started. And again, this is game one of, well, Tiff, who knows how many we're playing today, which is the best part about this format. Any other notes going into this first map of maybe something that we should be expecting from a drop spot standpoint, or maybe a team tactic standpoint? Because you're talking quite a bit about how duos is quite a bit different from trios, just because you don't really have that extra buffer of maybe losing one teammate and being okay playing as a duo.
Yeah, we were kind of briefly chatting about those prior to the broadcast, right? If this was trios, it would look really, really different because you have that player that can kind of anchor and play their life, keep the team alive in a sense. But when you go to that with duos, right, you're going into it, obviously, you're going up against multiple duos. And the moment you go down a player, that puts you at a loss, and you could eventually get wiped that much easier. So you want to go in and try and keep both of the teammate members alive. You want to push together, have each other's back, stack it out if you have to, because that is the only way that you're going to be able to kind of function. But from what we've seen yesterday, we saw a lot of players that were solo. It kind of came down to RNG at the end, but if you have just the survivability of your solo player, that is where it's going to be clutch. And when I start thinking about that, I think Unrational. We saw so many huge clutch moments coming out of him throughout the entirety of World Series of Warzone. When he had to carry the team on his back in terms of life sustainability and get the teammates back, I'm looking at him. So that should be fun.
Yeah, I think you're right. Duos is a totally different game. I talk about the triangle offense, triangle defense, whatever you want to call it. I always make that reference. We're not going to be seeing a triangle today, unfortunately. No. There's only two people. It's a straight line. So you either play together or you play slightly split and be able to take different high ground positions. I think teams will be a little bit more cautious, a little bit more, especially cautious at the beginning of this tournament, trying to get a feel for duos. Because again, Nigma, we haven't seen a duos custom since Verdansk, at least not a large one, especially with this caliber of players. So any other tactics you're expecting to see with duos, or are you kind of just waiting and seeing and going to be learning on the fly as well?
It will be interesting because it's been so long. Don't get me wrong, a lot of duos happens on the wager side of things, on the content creation side of things. But yeah, you're right. There's not been anything really in terms of massive tournaments to really judge how this is going to go down. There's been new superstars rise to the fore during that time period where there's not been duos tournaments taking place. How do they get involved? throughout this, and perhaps maybe they don't have the experience in duos in the past. I'm trying to find a way of saying that Biffle isn't going to win this one because he's been so on fire. Can anyone stop that boy? I don't know right now, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it opens up. At the very start, the first map is going to tell us absolutely everything for how this afternoon is going to go.
Totally agree. Consistency is going to be key, but you've got to get points on the board. Again, you have to meet the 100-point threshold for a chance to even win this tournament, and then maybe multiple teams are going to be going for that win to try to take it all. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to the points on the leaderboard for everyone else if you don't grab that win after the threshold. I believe we're going to head to a very short break here as we get our first map prepared, so don't go anywhere. It's day 2 of Al Mazrah's last Hurrah, and it's about to be some chaotic duos customs. Tiff, it is time. Game one has started. Everyone's in the lobby and they're ready to rock and roll. And we're starting with Mr. Diaz Biffle himself. Christmas tree in the background and everything. Tiff, I am so excited for game one of however many we get to play. The first map is certainly going to be the litmus test of how things are going to go.
Yeah, and I'm really curious to see just the pacing of the duos lobby. I know we were kind of chatting about that during the pre-show, what that was going to look like, but it seems that Shifty and Biffle have already kicked things off, grabbing that stronghold, getting their immediate loadout, which will allow them, you know, that little bit of a UAV, the information here at Hydroelectric, which is their favored drop spot.
Yeah, a great shot. And again, it's kind of fun because we can kind of go back to some of our World Series of Warzone notes. You and I had a chance to cast all of the games of Trios Customs, World Series of Warzone. Of course, Diaz, Biffle, Shifty, they won it all, and they won it all in a dynamic fashion, well over 70 points ahead of second place. It was an absolute domination at LAN. It was a really impressive feat, but we can look at some of those notes, but not all of them, because a lot of these teams are actually not World Series of Warzone teams. They've maybe played together in the past in other tourneys, but Shifty and Biffle are one of the few duos that played together at the Global LAN, playing together again today. And I had an expectation that they were going to play hyper aggressive, and seemingly that's exactly what they're doing. They grabbed a bounty, they saw the name, and they said, yeah, no problem, this is ours to take, and that's exactly what they're trying to do.
Exactly. You can see they've got that bounty on killers, immediately repositioning with that drone and dropping in, trying to give the comms out. Shifty on the ground a little bit closer, and just like that, a full team wipe, 2 on the board for Team Biffle. We talk about the aggression. Now it's like, what is our next step? We've already taken out our immediate threat in our drop spot POI,
Appreciate them biddies,
and now
my
it's
boy.
kind of like, we just keep going.
Appreciate you, gang.
Yeah, there's almost two sides of the duos coin. Like, we were talking a little bit about how, like, some
What you
teams
on?
might play a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more cautious maybe, because it's duos. You don't have a lot as much room for error because you only have one other teammate. So if you go down, you're all by your teammate goes down, you're all by yourself. But the other side of the coin is that, well, you're only going to fight 2 other people instead of 3. And now, well, FIFA Kill's getting taken out from distance by Tommy without him able to even react. Tried something, it didn't work, gonna have to readdress. But I think for somebody like a Shifty that we just saw, Tiff, like, he might go in and just 1v2 everybody and Biffle plays backup.
I mean, that's a very safe thing to assume here, as Sir has found himself in the gulag. And if you're going up against Allman in the gulag, it's the last thing you really want. But he's got a lot of damage down and not a lot down to him, and he will take him down. But Huskers finding himself in the gulag earlier. I know we were talking about that pacing that we were looking for, and it seems like a lot of our teams are getting into that action early. Booyah and Swag, the next duo, to see kind of what is going on. Now, this duo, Goj, we've seen them plenty of times playing in a threshold of 2v2 tournaments galore, and no stranger. They've got a lot of chemistry here, so I'm excited to see what they do.
Chemistry is certainly important, and I think, you know, I think the pace of play has been shown to be fairly aggressive. We're still in the first circle. We're seeing a lot more eliminations than maybe I first expected, just because, well, I think everybody's realized that confidence is key, and you got to be willing to chow everything. And points are going to be absolutely paramount because, again, you don't even have a chance to win this tournament until you reach over 100 points. So some of these teams might go full hyper-aggressive, early, high. Wow, that was, speaking of highly aggressive.
Yeah, Brax is crazy.
Brax kind of sneaks in there on the right-hand side and finds Huskers before he can react. That was tough.
You gotta do what you gotta do, and Soka getting in that early action as well. Super Ev has found himself in the gulag, hit on that snapshot grenade, does throw the thermite out, not going to connect, and the push comes in, and Super Ev will fall. DJ Moss will be the teammate that's going to be left to kind of clutch up for the duo, because you have to start thinking about the litmus test, that game one initially, right? You don't want to start your tournament out going so early and taking a donut in map 1. Exact clutching up in the gulag. That was a must-win condition there since Jace had already lost his. But as you can see, we're just gonna keep filtering through gulags. But Wiz and Bubble, they haven't burned theirs yet, that we can tell.
Yeah, and again, it's fun to kind of watch some of those gulags too, because you get to see which players actually get eliminated. But at the end of the day, hopefully your teammate is still alive and they've got the resources to buy you back immediately, because that's something that you always see, especially in customs, is that cash is always king. We always talk about it. Be able to have enough resources to immediately buy back your teammate if things go awry. But speaking of the format, Tiff, I think it's worth mentioning, like, because of its duos customs, you're going to be seeing some things that you didn't see in World Series of Warzone. You're going to be seeing, well, the split zones. You're already seeing one right now. You see that little symbol as it looks like Wiz and Bubble are taking some shots down range. trying to find some enemies. We've already got a split zone going into the next zone.
Yeah, we have at least 3 circles right now that will kind of collapse onto one, but Wiz not able to get close up to Bubble and reunite with him. It's gonna be Clamp finding that elimination. Now Bubble doubling down, trying to head towards that buy station. Does have the
Yeah, I
cash
got
to
it
get
low
him
right
back,
now.
but he was just
'Cause I'm
shooting in
here.
this general direction. So we know there will likely be teams watching that buy station. But here's the question, right? Tommy and Noobs playing as a duo. Not with the tried and true Almond, who's playing with Rated alongside today, but we know they still like to land very north on the map, and they've already kind of been the result of taking out a lot of teams.
Yeah, obviously a ton of chemistry between the duo. Tommy and Almond have done a lot of duo event together, but TBE, Tommy, Almond, and Noobs play together all the time. Been playing together since Verdansk. Noobs, I did get corrected by Smixy. Noobs technically won the duos World Series of Warzone back in the day, and I believe Noobs was playing with Huskers back way early in Verdansk. So they do have a win under the belt, but it's still another duo that is not playing together again today. It's Tommy and Noobs. So we're going to see a new kind of duo come to the forefront of our minds when we think of duos customs, especially because this is the last hurrah of Almazra. We won't see another big Almazra tournament before the new map drops. So excited to see which duo will take it. This duo is also a fun one to talk about, Tiff, because they played together World Series of Warzone, did great in kind of the stages leading up. World Series of Warzone Global LAN, playing with Rated, they did fine. They didn't do incredible, but they had a decent day.
Yeah, they definitely did, and I love that they're bringing in the young gun Adrian alongside Aiden. They're both incredibly talented when it comes to fragging potential, and I had a chance to sit down and chat with them and do an interview back in London, and honestly, just some solid people indeed. But before we get there, Biffle and Shifty, right? This is going to be the team that's on everyone's mind. How are they going to perform? Will they take another tournament win today? They've already racked up a couple eliminations before we check on board with Apathy and Slack, who have run into a little bit of mix here.
Speaking of a long-standing duo as well, not only in Warzone, but they've both played CDL, been friends for a really long time. It's fun to watch them in tournaments because they're so good at playing their life, and that was a fantastic grenade to set up the elimination there for Slack. Made it easy on his friend, grabbing that knock. This is going to be such a tough rotation, though. Playing from low ground, gas at your back, a team holding you from high ground. You're going to have to pull out all stops here in order to stay alive, and that's what they're trying to do. Smokes galore and wide rotating as the zone begins running behind them. These split zones can be fairly punishing. Get held from multiple angles as you get closer and closer to center. It'll be fun to see what the teams do to try to mitigate some of that RNG and figure out how to win these circles.
Huskers and Smith here, riding the edge of ring, getting poked and prodded. Not nearly as kitted out as Apathy and Slack were. They were definitely poised to be a little bit better with durables and self-res, but just Huskers cannot get that line on Shero, and unfortunately will fall. But Zyro and Louis CM. Zyro yesterday in hide and seek was doing a little bit of shadow boxing. Today he's just looking for that first elimination.
Yeah, I think you can tell that just about every player we're switching to in their perspectives. Everybody's kind of leaned forward, closer to their monitor, a little bit more locked in. Padzuka goes down, and a nice take here from Zyro and Louis to kind of clear the path for them to rotate forward and not worry about getting shot in the back. Yeah, everybody's definitely a little bit more tapped in today because, well, there's a 70K on the line, but it's going to come down to your gun skill as well as your IQ. Yesterday, you weren't allowed to shoot your guns, so I think everybody's a little bit more excited to try to put their weapons to good use. Unfortunately for Unrational, though, is shot in the back trying to climb through a wall and cleaned up by Vision. Gonna be joining his teammate in the Gulag. We'll see if he can win this one.
Look, if you're gonna get in the Gulag, the last person you want to go up against is either like a heavy hitter, but this one's Jowo, right? He's gonna have the movement, so Unrational's gonna have to keep it locked because Joe's gonna be flying. Does some initial taps, does lose most of his initial shield, but moving forward, the PDSWs tanks it and just cleans it up. Joe, I'm really shocked you jumped and pushed that, but unfortunately for Joe, hopefully his teammate can clutch that up, but Unrational won a big one.
So it is Joe and Bread back together again. Competed yesterday, I believe got 4th overall, took home $3,500. Looking to better that today. Of course, 25K for first, 15 for second, so a lot of cash can exchange hands. Might be able to breach quite a bit of cash in 2 days if they can do well today. But a nice buy station fly. Look, I'm honestly impressed there's not somebody out here. I think everybody's kind of playing for eliminations at this point. See if this is the perfect buy station to go to. Right on the edge of map. Not a player holding it. That's a
My
free
bad, Chad.
buy.
I was eating.
Nice.
The fact that it was free just
I
kind
was
of blows my mind,
eating.
because there's always someone lurking back there, and I don't understand why. But
Still eating.
Vortex will be falling here. Joe is going to join back up with Breadman. But something really cool to note
What
about
you on,
Breadman
Quan?
right
What you
now
doing?
is he just launched a clothing line. He's got the bakery. A lot of people have pre-ordered it. Some of the stuff looks super cool. I was looking at the website, and some of the clothing colors are in the homage of like toast. Like you can get a sweatshirt and it's like burnt. That's the color. Yeah, it's cool.
Sure. Yeah, I'm here for it. Speaking of a kind of a long-term, at least teammates, maybe not duo, but Four and Jason Exact actually been competing together for a long time as well. They used to compete with Brolic as a trio. Good to see them back. They played together yesterday as well, but missing just about every resource you could imagine. $400 to their name, 0 plates. Do have their loadout and able to at least throw some warning shots down, but this is going to be a tough one to win from distance, but he gets him weak. Crack shields. The player elects to peek and gets Exact low again. This is a masterclass in playing your life, though. Luckily, hasn't been third-partied, and part of that likely is because of these split zones. You've kind of separated teams into separate zones, but there's finally some shots from another angle. Exact and Four and Jace go down. We're already down to 27 teams out of our 49 duos. Fairly early in this map, at least it feels that way. 50 total players on the map. Fairly aggressive pace.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. There's honestly nothing that Exact could have done there. He didn't have enough cash to hit that buy station. I think he was trying to like work his way towards the buy, maybe pick up some eliminations, grab their cash, but we did make our way into that 1.2x multiplier. So for our teams that are still alive, any eliminations they have, they will be multiplied immediately by 1.2. But Intex, Believe, all the way on the outskirts of the map, smoke and cover. Still relatively open. They've got their lines of sight onto a player, and the hipfire coming in. It will work out despite it not being the most pretty, but you can see the hit markers coming in from every single direction. Intex, I don't know how he's alive right now.
Those bullets went over his right shoulder, grazed his shoulder, maybe took out part of his shirt. I don't know how he's up, but he was able to sneak out of there. Again, talk about kind of the efficacy of smokes. That is a master class in how to use smokes and how to dodge bullets. Intex somehow stays alive. Teammate flying back in. A chance to get a higher multiplier and get a few more eliminations to his name. And finds an elimination. A great read and a great ping from his teammate. Sometimes we see like a teammate like Believe flying back in that can kind of live ping a few enemies while they're trying to find a spot to land. And that's exactly what happened. It net a kill for them and a safer rotation. Very well done as we check out maybe some of the favorites from a duo side of things with Hisoka and Skullface. Opportunity to go big today.
Bombs are flying. Incoming Semtex. Definitely taking some damage here. Is running high alert. I respect it. I really like it. We got fast hands double time. Bomb squad. All of these are going to help.
Wow, they are getting hit with quite literally everything in the book, from grenades, smokes for cover, mortar strikes on top of them. They are able to rotate out to a small little berm, a small hill to get around it, break a little bit of LOS, and gonna rotate through and try to find another angle, but they are getting hawked down. Ahsoka getting flying out, and if you heard those comms, he said that's Shifty in them trying to chalk our game. If he's right, that's actually a great shout. I mean, this has kind of been a rivalry over the last several months now, Tiff. I mean, you think back to World Series of Warzone, Shifty and Ahsoka were playing together, ended up splitting. Shifty joined the ranks of Biffle, and Sage ended up winning. Ahsoka got second overall at the Global Finals. Obviously put up a great tourney, but still lost by over 70 points. A lot of rivalry there.
It's a huge point. And let me just talk to you about why being able to identify the other teams in a lobby is so incredibly important, especially with the format that we are running today, because you have to get as many points as possible. Once teams start having that win condition where all they have to do, they've already gotten the 100 points and they just need to win a match, it's being able to identify your enemies, not only in the fact of do you know who you're going up against in terms of their skill and how they play, but as of, hey, this team's on the win condition, we need to eliminate them quickly. That's smart. So I love that they're already able to work that through. Jenna, unfortunately, is going to fall. Hopefully our teammate 40 is going to be able to make that happen, but no, won't be able to rotate in. This is why the teams that are playing smart, getting into zone early, are going to have the biggest advantage.
Yeah, and especially with these split zones, like it's just such a different kind of gameplay loop that you're gonna have to get used to. But also, like, yeah, we talk about trios and the difference of playstyle trios is in duos, there's even more chances for third parties because more teams are split up. Like, it's only 2 players, but you're fighting a team of 2. There's another team of 2 to your right, another team of 2 to your left. Yeah, that's only like 8 players or what have you, but still, that's 4 different angles you can get shot from or shoot from. This is a pretty big moment for these teams to realize how to address these angles. And I think one of the things that you're seeing this team do well is play from circle, like you're saying, not play edge, and then have a vehicle to use for cover. It's always a key to your success, especially if you're running out of cover on the map with buildings. But here's the other side of that. Aiden and Adrian playing center of zone, playing on those buildings, trying to clear out a pathway, a safe spot where they can hold potentially this buy station, potentially some high ground, so they have some advantages going into the late game.
Yeah, this is going to be tough. All right, this final circle here, we're pulling further into actual Rohan itself. Whoever has the black site is going to have that constant UAV of this entire POI. Aiden was sitting on 7. They've hit the 1.4x multiplier. We come on over, we check out Noobs. Looking a little worse for wear here. 1 plate to the name, that's all he's got on, does not have any backups, does have plenty of ammo and 4 eliminations, but trying to navigate getting into closer to zone when there's already so many teams that are going to be occupying this without kind of the essentials that you would need. It sounds like Tommy's potentially in the air kind of calling for cover, or maybe he's just kind of out towards the right. But he has to play this so safe, and it's going to be really tough.
Noobs is in trouble, sitting on 1 HP. Live pings from Tommy, though. It's giving him a little bit of aid. He chows it at 1 HP and gets the better of him. Tommy trying to help and gets it. There's another player behind those. Gonna have to be careful. 1 in front, 1 behind. And an angle, crack shields. Doesn't have any plates, but it doesn't matter. Through the tin, takes out Slacked and Apathy. They're out of here. 17 teams remaining. This is why TBE are some of the best players in the game. This is why Tommy and Noobs are some of the favorites to win it all today. Crazy performance from them from a chem standpoint, comm standpoint, and of course gunplay. Gets the resources. They still got a chance here. Okay, if we are looking, the next multiplier, 1.6 times multiplier, is top 10. We're at 15 teams. This is a massive moment to continue to tally up that scoreboard. You're trying to get to 100 points as fast as possible.
Doing everything that they can, and Smixy, just a mainstay in the Call of Duty community. Love seeing her play here today. She's actually picked up Echo for her duo. Had a chance to talk to Echo at World Series of the Warzone. He was playing with Bubble and Tomsterbomb. They're kind of filtered out throughout different teams here today, but Smixy and Echo, no stranger to competing together. I've even competed with Echo, and that man can clutch up anything. So just curious to see what they're going to look like here. They do have a couple of eliminations, but have to rotate further into Rohan. They're going to elect to take the vehicle. But who is on the tower? Who?
I mean, hey, play for placement if you already have some eliminations. Now, if you only have 1, 1 times 2 is only 2, but we'll see. Nobu Spartan in trouble. Nobu had a great day yesterday, got 2nd overall with a fantastic performance, winning one of the last couple maps we were able to run. Today, trying to better that performance, trying to win it all, but unfortunately goes down. Bubble, Wiz, playing well together, one of our EU squads, but they are low on fuel, so all you can do is use this for cover. And there you go. Wait, did he have a fuel can?
Yo, did they just hijack Smixy's vehicle?
I don't know, but they put some fuel in it on the go. I'm pretty impressed they had some forward thinking with that. We'll see if it pays off in the end, but speaking of top teams still alive, somehow back at it again. Shifty, Biffle, 13 teams up, looking for top 10 for the next kill multiplier. Smixy as well. Smixy on high ground position, but outside center of zone. Gonna have to rotate here shortly. Needs to clear a pathway.
I think this is going to be a really solid position. It does pull kind of straight over towards that next building, but having that high ground in this zone is very critical so long as you can kind of keep that alive. But Chrissy also into the mix. Only 1 elimination here, playing with Clay. She has been just through and through one of some of the most impressive women competitors that I have seen. And honestly, not even just women competitors alone, just Call of Duty competitors. Showed out in the World Series of Warzone last chance qualifiers, almost made it to LAN, and now is showing you why she is here to play.
All right, Tiff, we've made it to the 1.6 times multiplier. 9, count it, 8 actually teams remaining, 14 total players, so mostly duos across the board. And somehow Biffle and Shifty have found their way to in-game as per the usual. We'll see how many eliminations they have.
A good one, chat.
The most important thing. Your multiplier
so far, so
helpful,
good.
But not everything. Kills are the name of the game, and well, guess what? Spotted one off in the distance. Vortex and Blade, former World Series of Warzone winners back in the day. Not the global LAN, but the time before that. In trouble, but quickly get the flare off. Tiff, 7 teams remaining. 1 floating for this duo. Gonna be difficult to play by yourself, but it's not impossible. Playing on this low ground position, we've seen in circles here time and time again. The question is who can maintain low, who has high, and who comes running in late. Great win there from Vortex. Blade still floating.
It's gonna be a wipe onto Soka and Skullface there, so that's gonna be a big one.
A massive take. But where do you go from here? Look at this moving zone, Tiff.
Yeah, this is it. Shifty and Biffle, Cash Bandits are coming through. Let me just tell you right here, they've got the high ground. They're going to have the mainstay here. Louis CM, you're not going to be able to chow for this. Yes, we have a lot of floaters here. I'm actually really shocked they put the reinforcement flare into. It was not on the bans, and basically you're just giving Biffle and Shifty more kills for their elimination multiplier. But that PA, this is going to be a little bit of difference here. Will it be able to knock them off the roof? I'm not technically sure. Not going to be enough. You can see Shifty able to get back to full health here, and they just keep on cutting them down, Goj.
I know we got some Zyro fans in the chat. Well, they made top 5, but not much more than that. Down below, Vortex grabs
this is a good one, chat.
Loses his life to a team of 2. Look who it is. Unrational with a pistol. We had some floaters. It's a 2v2. It is Aiden and Adrian versus Biffle and Shifty.
This is a good one.
Of Al Mazdra's last hurrah, day 2 duos customs, and somehow, some way, Biffle and Shifty find themselves on high ground in a 2v2 to win the first map, and they've got a durable gas mask to boot. Here comes the final circle, the final push. Who's gonna win it all? They're gonna start with the smoke to push the equation. Biffle getting involved, finds one on the left and misses a couple shots, but connects on few. Biffle goes down, it's up to Shifty. It's a 1v1, Aiden versus Shifty. Who's gonna take it all? The brand new IGL, the World Series of Warzone winner versus Aiden. Yes, Shifty wins it, takes down Adrian and Aiden. Adrian and Aiden, a great map, but not taking down the champions, Tiff. 44 points in the first map. Are you kidding me? The threshold is 100. They're almost halfway there after 1.
Look, that's what you need to do to show up here, knowing what threshold. I know we were kind of brainstorming originally what that was going to look like. I said 12 to 20 eliminations, and you know what? They bested me. Congratulations. Cash Bandit shows up alongside Biffle. Taking
was a
down
good
the
one.
Cheddar Bros, and that's crazy to me. It's crazy that this is Al Mazdra's last hurrah, and this is how we're already starting out. Mind you, Biffle and Sage won yesterday, and now Shifty shows up in the duos portion of this, and they're already taking map number 1. I mean, speechless.
We gotta bring in Enigma. I don't even know what to say anymore about Biffle, Sage, Shifty. They are just next level, and anybody that's questioned them has been proven time and time and time again. Well, they're just simply better. They win the first map, and they do it in a dynamic fashion. Let's take a look at these replays here shortly, and then get to hear from Enigma. I mean, looking back, first impressions of Duos Customs here, Tiff. What'd you think?
I thought it played much more aggressively than I had originally
I thought it was going to be campy, but it actually played out.
That makes me happy because personally to me, aggressive gameplay is always a little more entertaining. You want to see people just giving it their all and just going forward in full sending. But at the end of the day, high ground is king. High ground is king.
High ground is king. The pace of play was certainly pushed. Enigma, what'd you think about the first map?
I mean, Tiff nails it. It's aggression straight away off the start from especially Biffle and Shifty, who go absolutely nuts. I mean, immediately they go in, pick up the bounty, chase down whoever's there, and eradicate them off the scene. Going to go through various different play styles and strategies that we've caught on to here, as well as some of the discussions around how things are playing out when you're up against some of the best players in the world. But one of the beautiful things that Biffle and Shifty just continue to do is decide when to turn it up a notch. The aggression's one thing, but their decision towards the end there to hit the top of the train station loading building and just rain down on everything around them, you could see the amount of chaos going on. They didn't want any part of that. They were happy to shoot fish in a barrel. Beautiful stuff out of that duo. And 44 points after map 1. I was worried I was going to be sat here until tomorrow morning and having to ring into work. I don't know about that right now.
Yeah, and that's the part about this match point format, right, that we have to consider is that some of these teams might get off to a strong start and have an opportunity to get to that match point, get to a position where all they need to do is win and take this tournament in very quick fashion. But Tiff, still a lot of work to be done. We've got a lot of points to add to the leaderboard. A couple of the other duos, though, I mean, were you expecting to see Aiden and Adrian at the top there getting second place?
Yeah, I kind of do. I think they're both really impressive. And when I had a chance to sit down and talk to them in London, just like hearing from Adrian himself, incredibly mature for such a young age, kind of one of the young guns that's been up and coming, you can totally tell that they are just locked in and they work incredibly well together. So to no avail, I knew that would happen, but with it pulling into Rohan, you have to start thinking about a lot of the teams that typically land nearby that area. Intex is one of the squads that typically lands up in that area that will allude towards Royal. Smixy, of course. Now, granted, we didn't get to necessarily see where they dropped specifically, but Tommy and Noobs, they always love to rock. So that gives them an early rotation in. The question is, how far did they actually get? Because Shifty and Biffle landing in Hydro, they had not necessarily one of the largest rotations, but it was there, right? And to be able to get there, take ultimate high ground, have that right building, because Smixy and Echo, yeah, they had the right idea. They just had the roof of the wrong building.
Yeah. I mean, Enigma, any other thoughts on that first map? I mean, we saw the pace of play being pushed, and I think that is maybe a denotion of just the format and what it entails. Like, you can't really bide your time if you're trying to reach a certain point threshold rather than beat out just your opponents.
Yeah, exactly. Right now, it is about trying to scrabble together as many points as possible. And we had a saying going throughout World Series or Warzone in particular, where we were saying placement is something, but kills are everything. And that still counts very much so here. If you get into those late stages, but you've picked up 1 point, it ain't worth very much to you, ladies and gentlemen. So seeing teams come out and put up the numbers that they are, although then again, I was trying to track the numbers that teams are up to, and we were still a decent couple of circles into the game. Teams were kind of sitting around 5 or 6. But I think that this is where Biffle and Shifty kind of set themselves apart in recognizing when the correct moment is to turn up the ante, or perhaps skulk into the shadows for a little bit and get themselves on top of a building and not get involved in the chaos. As for the format itself, I really like how we're seeing different strategies come out, and we're seeing various players playing different ways around perks. So, for example, you called out Soka running High Alert, and he's actually running Stealth Vest. Actually, the dominating selection
Appreciate that,
follow is actually Medic Vest along with Bird's Eye. It was interesting because a lot of teams are probably going to be thinking, all right, well, I'm running Bird's Eye, but if everyone else is going to be running various things, then is that negated? Does that change throughout the afternoon? Does Soka come away from High Alert perhaps, or that Stealth Vest because everyone else is running Bird's Eye? Interesting to see how it plays out, but I'm loving the variety so far.
Totally agree. I'll be curious to kind of check in on this next map and see how many people are going to be running some snipers potentially, or is it just too fast of gameplay to run a sniper and you're just going to kind of open yourself up to third parties? Only time will tell, but it is worth noting second through fifth place, by the way, get that 1.8x multiplier, so you don't have to get second to get the second highest multiplier, second through fifth. So you're right. Multipliers, placement, there's something, but they're not everything. Kills certainly are everything. Folks, we're going to take a very short break before map 2. Don't go anywhere. This has been high octane action for Al Mazra's last Hurrah day 2, and you're not going to want to miss the next one.
Here we go. Watch somebody else. Let's see what Bobby Joel up doing.
Trade in your old phone and save.
Me. No, that ain't.
Heads up, you already Just heads up, just heads up.
Man, there's gonna be so many people getting in there.
What are those glasses? Going to bingo after? Yo, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
What's up?
Yeah, I got it. Shut the fuck up.
Chad, I wonder what aided it. How many points did they get? Because they did just come in second though. They just came in second.
Oh, brother, this guy.
I think they getting in the match now.
Smarty pants.
Let's start. I want to play. Put in my. Janaya, stop.
Yeah, what's
How
up?
come people are like Tommy's complaining or not complaining, but saying like Almond got costed because his name popped up when the black site completed? Is it not supposed to pop up? With
It's not supposed to. No. Why, you saw it? I never even look. Yeah, you know.
Because like imagine they're at match point and they do that, then everybody in the lobby knows where they are. Are you allowed to type in game chat either? Like so and so is in a certain area? Probably not, right?
Said it again? Sorry, I was reading the
You
content.
can't talk in game chat, or not game chat, but text chat.
No.
Certain, yeah.
Oh, they didn't have it in ranked rules. That's why.
Oh.
Or there's no ranked rules, I guess. Let's go, baby. Usually, plus those spots they usually have way more fucking money. We didn't get that much bread out of those 2 little spots. Kind of got skimmed.
Oh, didn't we get 2 UAVs and a loadout?
Yeah.
And a self?
Yeah.
That's.
I meant the other spot. The other spot we only got like 1 UAV.
Yeah.
Also, Ghost is pretty gas, to be honest.
Check weapons and gear. We're holding for deployment.
I can do. I mean, only one of us needs to run it. Or actually, I guess.
But we both definitely could.
You mean, yeah.
Duos is like high alert. I mean, I don't know. Whatever.
Hey, what is this? There's like a thing on the map. Like the butcher thing? Is it? Never mind. I don't know.
Oh, I can't change my perks in this, can I? Ah, that sucks.
Nah, you can't.
That sucks. Imagine carrying a perk package for Ghost and you just switch to it when you hear UAV pop.
Can. We just have to kill somebody with the ghost and pick it up.
Yeah. Pretty far. I don't know if we can.
It's too far to float.
We can definitely do it.
It just won't be like center zone like last time.
Nah. No heli either for an easy row.
Get ready, 5 seconds.
Battle Royale. Gas is closing on.
Again, let's take a look at that leaderboard. Enigma, walk me through this. I mean, again, not close. We do see Aiden, who did get second overall on the leaderboard as well.
I mean, the big news is just that it's not even close. Like, this is a ridiculous gap to already have built up. You'd be forgiven for thinking we're 2 or 3 maps in with a lead like that.
I don't see anyone with a little village under us.
Yeah.
Are they in that on that ping?
I believe so. Unless he pulled it. I think he's floating over there.
I'd be down. Yeah, let's
here.
go.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
place has hella money.
Yep.
I'm gonna land
I'm
in there.
landing, yeah, heard you. I'm landing medics.
Alright, I'm in here.
Yeah, there's loads going to that village.
Alright, bet.
The road's right later.
Yeah, I'm going.
I got a personal crate. On my left.
Alright, bet. Occupy little UAV thing, by the way. Careful.
Enemy scans active. Stay low.
I'm laying
People
down.
on the train right here.
I need to get to a buy eventually and
Hostile recon deployed.
buy my guns.
Wait, people on me.
Alright. Wait, on me too. Trying to run.
I'm dead. Oh, there's 2 of them.
Hold up, hold up.
Got gas moving in. Your squad mate is in the gulag now.
Buddy.
If they survive, they redeploy.
I'm dead.
This is left.
Hold up.
Get it done. Your squad mate was broken. They are no longer with us.
Can I use an RPD?
Yeah, I think so. Fly away. Gonna be bad.
Alright. Where did you die? Did you die by
I
the
died
buy
medic
station?
building. Yeah.
Alright.
That yellow thing.
Alright. Oh, there's a portable buy under me. Oh my god, it didn't pull my fucking shoe. Ah! Oh my god. Oh fuck.
Team comes out on top. Will it be a repeat already? Well, they're certainly going to try to start like that. Fairly aggressive start yet again, dropping UAVs and everything in between. Because Tiff, when we talk to these players, you know what they say every single time? They say, we know we can win every single gunfight and we've got to play like it. We are going to push every single person we see. We are going to take every single gunfight with confidence because that's the key to our success.
And you're not going to find more confident people than Shifty and Biffle right now. Especially coming off that game 1. You go right back to Hydro, you start doing exactly what you did in game 1, because why would you change anything considering the success that you had? Yes, that circle is going to start pulling a little bit differently than we had in game 1. Now, mind you, if you just tuned in, game number 1 ended Rohan Oil. We're here on Hydro Electric. They're already throwing up UAVs. They took out the counter UAVs of the team in front of them to give them that more information. You can see we already have line of sight and information on where that player is. So Biffle is just kind of maneuvering ever so closely, trying to find that perfect angle to take this team down.
Yeah, and as a reminder, it is duos, but we saw 8 eliminations from one player and 14 eliminations from the other for this duo. So a ridiculous stat when you think about not only is it duos, but it's 98 players on the map, and you're able to drop 22 kills. Absolutely ridiculous. We'll see if anybody can better it, though. Who knows? This is duos customs in a brand new tournament format. Kind of incentivizes a little bit more of an aggressive play style up into a point, up into that 100-point threshold. If you have questions on this format, this match point format, please ask. Obviously, we are been well experienced with explaining it, and we'll continue to do so today. But wow, yeah, nobody questions Diaz Biffle Gunny because he's able to put it on a kind of display like that.
Yeah, it's really tough. If I'm Killers in Austin at this point, I chowed Biffle and Shifty in game number 1. That was their initial bounty from that game, and immediately get taken out here in Hydro as well. Hopefully they'll win their gulags, but at that point, I'm picking a different drop spot.
Yeah, no question. If you are being contested on your drop spot by the team at the top, a team that is likely the best team in the game, yeah, maybe it's time to find somewhere else, because you need points on the board. If you try to keep contesting the team at the top, and even if you win 1 out of the next 4 maps, you're going to be so far behind. You've got to get to 100 points, and you got to get there as fast as possible. Go find another spot, think on your feet, pivot, and see what you can do. Definitely the key to your success today. But Echo and Smix trying to kind of better themselves from the last game. They had a decent map, but nothing to write home about. Would love to get double-digit limbs this time around if they can. And it looks like they've kind of landed out here on the outskirts of the map as kind of per the usual, but it seemingly there's a couple other teams here too.
Always a lot of teams here, and
Hello.
one's gonna push Smixy, runs right into her, and she cuts him down in the stairway. Not a bad. Now we just gotta look for the teammate Echo, falling incredibly low, able to grab that knock, but it's gonna be Waldo, but someone comes in through the window. That's gonna be Sir, and just like that, when you're fighting 2 different teams and you are split, not gonna be the best start that you want.
Yeah, multiple teams landing there, so they got attacked kind of from a couple different angles and couldn't kind of take down the same team. And that is one thing I will say as a duo. You really do want to focus on one duo rather than getting your attention split. They were just a little too much split in duos to be able to deal with both, but Solidify able to deal with one kind of coming up the stairwell here. Nice read on the audio cues. And continues to hear some footsteps nearby. He's going to take this nice and slow because, well, Inxian is nowhere to be found. It's going to be in the gulag. But luckily, you do have your loadout weapon. Grabs a little bit more loot and just plays the angles. Nice spot.
It's pretty tough, right? My biggest worry here is if someone decides to rotate up onto kind of the highway area above them, the bridge, but he did calm that he had one on him, but Exact right now running into a little bit of mix, able to get through that doorway before the Semtex could kind of connect. Jace out a little bit further ahead. Now, mind you, that stronghold in the distance is giving their position away, but this is something we were talking about. This isn't the ranked playlist. It will show you who takes over that black site. I think Destroy was going to be one of them, so that's going to give away their immediate position. A little unfortunate for that, but what can you do?
Yeah, we were talking a little bit about that during the break. We'll harp on that more as it comes into play, but if you're on match point and you go for the black site, everyone's going to know where you are. You're going to have 48 teams rushing the black site to try to take you out, so you can't finish off the tournament. But yeah, I think the early game is kind of characterized by the battle for the strongholds, right? Everybody wants those strongholds to get their loadouts. Everybody wants those strongholds for that kind of like micro UAV that surrounds it, and anytime you can gain information about a POI, especially one that you land on, certainly the better. But continue to swap perspectives and tune into some of the other streams. Right Up playing today, a fantastic consecrator and a fantastic competitor, I might add. Looking to hopefully better his team's position in this map. My goodness. 8 fully out of this lobby. Not enough cash to get a buyback either. Huge blender right now and is just trying to get out of dodge, but a very difficult wraparound. There's little to no cover. A couple smokes might help, but keep running, my friend.
You have to stay calm too, and that's so tough, especially with Al Mazrah having such wide open spaces throughout. And yes, you've got smokes, but it doesn't matter. These teams are just going to use their cast off and just keep firing if they see any inkling of your rotational ability. But back on board with Chrissy. Finished quite high up in the placements in map number 1, but just didn't have enough elimination. So I'm looking for them to kind of go on more of an aggressive front, get a little more elimination. So once they hit those higher multipliers, it'll be more beneficial for them.
Appreciate that light, my guy.
Jace, they look like they're going to actually try to cap
Hopefully
this
having a good day.
stronghold so that they can benefit from the UAV themselves.
I think it's a great shout. Something that you definitely want to do just to make sure you clear all of your angles at this POI. And they do have some visual cues of maybe where their opponents would be. There's the live ping going out. Great spot there from Jason. Exact. Gonna be a tough one to knock from distance. The question is, do you push this? I think after maybe you grab the stronghold, you do. Jason is maybe gonna push out a little bit by himself here. He does have a decent angle to help out, but not a great one. Exact trying to throw down covering fire, but it comes down to Jason off screen. Jace does grab the elimination. Well done.
That's a full elim onto Almond. The rated be somewhere nearby because we didn't see necessarily a team wipe. But keeping eyes all open and keeping all eyes on the Christmas tree, seeing all the content creators with trees in their background, I'm thinking I messed up. Like maybe I should have put a Christmas tree. I'm just gonna dog bed in the back for my dog when she decides to show up. But checking back in, Bredman, Jowo looking a little bit better here in that early game compared to game number 1. Both of them up into the mix of things. Nearby a stronghold for them as well.
Yeah, strongholds, buy stations, key to success of early game. Definitely something that a lot of teams like to camp in the early game if they're set up decently inside the zone. This one, not so much. Brad in trouble. Goes down to about 10 HP. It's going to be up to Jowo. Down from a bottom angle here. Doesn't really have a spot to shoot down on the player. And Brad might get pushed, but I think their opponents are on outside of zone as well. So as this zone continues to creep in, this buy station gets kind of pushed out into the gas. It's going to be a tough fight to win, but it's Picnic that goes down. Jowo now pushing the advantage by himself, and he doesn't hear any more footsteps, so Picnic might have been all by his lonesome, maybe grabbed a quick buyback, and his teammate was floating regardless. A nice win by this duo. Grab the remaining things they need from the buy, and they're going to move on their merry way into the zone.
Yeah, Picnic playing with Oakley Boy, so maybe he'll be in the distance. You can hear the comms coming in. They just had a UAV pop by them, so they've got alert that there's someone in the area. Huskers and Z Smith looking to have a better game than their map number 1, and talking about rotations here now, start thinking about kind of where they need to go. A lot of our teams have been playing just a little bit further on the outskirts, right? But Z picks a little bit too far and gets punished immediately for it.
Tuning back in with the top of the leaderboard. Biffle, Shifty on 44 and 3 showing this map for Biffle. Continuing to stay on the aggressive stance. Continuing to kind of push the edge of zone where needed to find eliminations. And these are the moments maybe you wish you had a sniper, right? You can only have 1 sniper per team per the rules, and you can't use the signal 50. So a fairly limiting selection. MCPR maybe, but right now most teams favoring AR, SMG as per the usual. And as we head over to Zyro and Louis CM, we have a lot of Zyro fans in the chat. They had an okay map 1, would love to hopefully get a win or a top 5 finish, and Louis goes down, but a nice cover there from Zyro. Unfortunately, there's an angle up top. Louis doesn't get full thirsted, but Zyro's in trouble, and it sounds like the comms are flying that you're getting chased. Clamp pushes, cleans up Louis. Finds him, Zyro opens up another angle. Clamp though wins it. Proned out, drop shot. See you later, Zyro. Goat Clamp goes massive.
Dang, you hear the kind of talking about what went wrong there. We should have just backed off. Now, Zyro totally could have, right? But you could also get shot in the back when backing off. So it's a really risky scenario there, but it was a good effort to push forward, and Zyro played the best he could there. But Exact and Vor and Jace have made their way inside the building. A PA on the outskirts, but it's not going to protect you just yet. Yeah? Yeah, it did hurt you bad there, huh?
Super River goes down. That's DJ Moss is going to be his teammate for the day, I believe. And looking to find him from distance. Ev got cleaned up potentially. Don't see the footstep. This will be Exact first if he can find it. I'm not sure how many Jace has, but Jace has kind of been playing the aggressive player of the duo. And this is something we're kind of seeing fall into place over the last map and a half or so that we've seen, is that sometimes we're seeing one player kind of push forward and play a little bit more aggressive, with the other kind of playing a little bit of Overwatch. Kind of similar to the way things work in trios, but a little less room for arrow as we check out Soka and Skullface and what they're doing inside of zone.
They had a pretty solid finish in map number 1, but it wasn't enough eliminations to kind of get them into that top 10, so they're not going to be too pleased with that and looking to find something better here in map number 2. But FIFA scumming on your screen, hitting the res on the train. Not too bad for a little bit of stealth kind of rotation here and some good loot. We can see we've got the mobile buy station. We've got a mortar strike. You have the stealth vest, but someone is here because Scummin gets completely fooled. You get toasted. And the calm comes in. There's 2 there. Shaded Step was gonna be the one that took down Scummin. Oh, but do it. No, dude, it's not worth it. We did not get the line of sight, but that was actually at the hands of, I did see Juki's name pop up. Yeah, there you go. Unfortunate, not the same guy.
Yeah, hard to see all of the different players, but I think there were 2 other teams in the area. That's what you're saying. Was it the same guy? No, I think you're right. I think it was Shaded Step and OP Marked at least had an angle on the train. And then it was Juki's pushing in from the other side on the ground that catches FIFA on the rotation. I was trying to see if he was going to be able to make it out, but no. Alas. And yet again, another team in a blender. Oscar's teammate down. Z-Smith out of it currently.
Nah, but I have this.
And Oscar's is going to try to find something as the portable buy is flying in. Maybe could get it off. The problem is he's gonna have to win potentially a 1v2. Finds one, cracks it, pushes the fight. Not enough to find it, because especially when you're fighting Biffle and Shifty at the same time, good luck, my friend. Great effort, but definitely not enough.
Bro, it's like sharks in the water at this point, just baiting him to peek one side, the other one just steps in. So that's how you're talking about the chemistry that we've seen throughout the, like, lo and behold, all the tournaments that they've been playing. They just have each other's back, stacking it, knowing and working in cohesion to kind of just go about that. But Exact, caught out in the open, forced to throw the smoke, ducks for cover.
Right dead ahead of me where we came from, that long building.
I love their comps, Steph.
Yeah, I was like, I just needed to tune into that and hear kind of how.
Let's do a quick listen in with this duo. This is a really influential fight. They're playing Edge of Zone. Production, if we could turn up their comms, let's do a listen in with Exact and 4Js.
He's got to be like in a bedroom.
Am I close right?
Stairs. We knocked him. One more there. I'm plating. We got a knock. We're fine. I'm coming up second right now. I'm jumping in. I'm second right now. He's roof, okay? Eddie's gonna play roof and try to... Hey, he's trying to run over here. He crossed into this building here. That's his smoke. I gotta plate. I don't have full plates. I gotta loot Tom's body for plates, okay?
I hear you. I pinged up. There's still kids live as well, up top.
Heard you on that. There's a durable.
Let's just leave here.
Yeah, that's fine.
Have a durable.
Yeah, okay, perfect. He just rests behind us right here. You see this? Row right and look right here.
You have a durable too, right?
Yep. He might be in this garage or something. I don't know where he's at. Oh, he's getting fried.
He's going to white.
Yeah. Get in there ASAP. We have 3 holds. 3 holds for sure. One's at the radio tower already. Another team's coming in from bridge. Okay, radio tower. His back is going to be to us, I'm pretty sure. He's going to be inside of it. They were beaming him. He can't leave it. He's still there. I'm nading it. Can you nade?
I have one nade.
He rode to the other side. Nah, he went on the other side. There he goes. Fried him. One shot. Dead. I didn't get it, though, I don't think.
Nice, good shit.
I didn't get it. They got it. Let's go ahead and bump to medic again.
Tiff, what a fun listen-in with this duo. A duo that has seen the light of competitive scene for a long time, but we didn't get a chance to see them at World Series of Warzone, and they are locked in. And I love the comms about all the different teams around them and where they could be, how they can address them from a couple different angles, who they're spotting, and they're doing it in a very clean fashion. Sometimes those comms can get really chaotic. That was very, very clean while still being high-paced.
Yeah, some people just love to hear themselves talk, but that was all very efficient. Every bit of the comms that we heard was just, here's the location. We have 3 holds from here, and you can see that Believe and Intex, they're actually going to be one of the teams that were getting held by Orange, Jace, and Exact, trying to hit that rotation, and it's one of the toughest rotates to make because these buildings ahead, north of this buy station that you can see on your left, are always occupied, and there's plenty of windows for angles to get onto this waterway. So taking the water like Intex is doing is the safest course of action for himself. He's got that mobile buy station coming in, does have the cash to go ahead and get Believe back, but yep, nice. There it goes. Clean. Love that for them.
Yeah, great rotation through the water. Probably will get cleaned up here, but at least Believe can fly back in. They've got a great game going. 11 kills in duos is huge. 6 and 5, and they're going into what I'll call the late game. The Gulag is now officially closed. There's 23 teams left. We're looking at a pretty sizable multiplier right now, right, Tiff? I mean, top 20 will get you into the 1.4 times multiplier. That's what they're vying for, and with Believe floating, they will likely get there.
Jukies and Lennon working together right now, pushing forward straight towards a duo, and just lets it fly. To your left, he's giving call-outs to Lennon right now, and flies back in, finds some weapons, repositions.
Juki's Lennon combo was a crowd favorite in London and doing pretty solid this game around. And I think they're going to have a chance to make it into the top 10 or at least make it upside, potentially to top 5 if they keep up this pace. A nice several eliminations between the two, but they got to get to some cover here, and they're getting shot from behind. One on top of the angle. No, Juki's goes down, but can Lennon get the cover? No. Does find the elimination, but loses Juki's in the process. If they have a flare, Juki's can float back in, but we saw what happened to the players that got flared in at the end. They just get cleaned up by whoever has the best position at the end. That was Diaz and Shifty last time. We'll see who it is this time around. If you get the flare off now, though, make it into the top 10, get down to the ground, hopefully find some weapons. You could actually be a threat. Down to final 14 teams. We are moving quickly through the ranks right now, as it looks like team on screen, Oakley Boy and Picnic having to rotate into some cover as a mortar comes in from another angle.
Last we saw, they were running into Breadman and Jowo over in Village. They've made it back to where both players are up. Do have durable, tempered, but you are going to have to withstand this precision airstrike, diving straight into the smoke, chasing this team. They do have tracker on. Semtex is trying to deter, but they are not going to stop. It is a relentless pursuit, but they are just on the outskirts of the next circle, working together in unison. But this is going to be really tough with 13 squads remaining here in this circle. Comms, they want to play for this house. There's no way it's free. No way.
There's probably at least one duo sitting inside the house. A great spot too, high ground, edge of zone. This is a kind of must-win position, especially if the next zone pulls up to this side. Let's see. We'll see it in 3, 2, 1. No, dead center. There are 2 buildings technically touching, but just a lot of terrain to work with. Win this encounter. You can look down on the high ground. Picnic wins it and takes the actual team wipe too. They've got a great position here to look over as the zone collapses and potentially pick up a couple teams rotating in. I love this spot for them. They've made it into the top 10, and look who's down below getting fried. It's Biffle and Shifty. They've got a decent spot, but look who is fighting them. That's Oakley Boy and Picnic at the top of the hill, and guess what they're using? The vehicles. We talked about it. LTV strat. When there's not a lot of cover, use the vehicles to make cover for yourself, but still finding and raining bullets from above, finding 1, 2, potentially 3 teams down below that they could pick up, down to the final 6 teams.
They don't even have to jump off. They can kind of walk it down, clearing as they go. They just took out Blade. Got a team wipe there. I do know Biffle and Co are still alive, but moving on to the next building. I love the utilization of Semtex to try and connect and maybe look for some people in there, but he doesn't even need it this time. Now the Semtex to follow suit. He's gonna push them out. Tracker to follow. Here we go, behind through the gas, and just like that, another one down to the final 3.
Raul goes down, final 3 teams, and I can only assume Biffle and Shifty are one of those teams. Could they go back to back? And yes, they are both still alive. Getting shot from distance still from Oakley and Picnic, who have arguably the better position. Look at this zone pull. It is all the way across. They can wrap down to the right, but Biffle doesn't have a gas mask. He needs to create cover for himself, create an opening by finding a knock, and it's going to come down to Shifty. Shifty picks up Jowo. Jowo goes down. It's a 2v2 again. Biffle, Shifty could do it again. Both teams having to rotate, one on high, one on low. The question is who's going to push the equation, and it looks like Oakley Boy's just going to fly at them. And they've got to hear him coming. Yes, Biffle finds him in the gas, but it doesn't have a gas mask. Is going to have to play the smart with little to no help. Finds one. No. Goes down. Biffle out of it. It's all up to Shifty. It's a 1v2 against Picnic and Oak Boy, and they don't get it. Picnic, Oak Boy win the map. 24-point game. About a quarter of what they need to get to the 100-point threshold, Tiff. But the question remains, how many kills did Biffle and Shifty get? Because they still grabbed the 1.8 multiplier.
A 1.8 is still huge, but a 24-point game out of Picnic and Oakley Boy, despite having gone from that initial mid-game where they kind of had to go throughout the regains from Village. It was a really tough moment there, but clearing that house and keeping high ground was kind of the ticket for their success here. We were talking about it, like, look, this is how you win. High ground is key, especially in that move. Shifty initially fell in that engagement. He was the first one of that duo to be picked off, and it kind of put Biffle in a really precarious situation. He had to like at least get one of them down. I think I saw a reinforcement flare to his left. If he could have got a knock, grabbed that reinforcement flare, it would have turned the tide on that situation, but it just was really, really tough. They did not have high ground. And also, welcome back, Enigma.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Good afternoon.
Enigma, talk to me about that crazy final fight and what you saw. I know we're gonna get a chance to look back on some of the replays from the map, but talk to me about it, because again, we see Biffle and Shifty in the final fight, and it came down to placement and zone position and who took the kind of aggressive stance, and it was Oakboy and Picnic.
I mean, Tiff covers a lot of the conversation there around high ground. It's a perfect place for Oakboy and Picnic to be in order to, as you said, slowly walk it down the hill, breach and clear. You've got the high ground. You don't really need to watch your back at any point. I tell you what, it's not very often that you see a very well played deployable cover when it comes to our high level gameplay. And where Oakboy decides to drop that down extends the fence line that they essentially have as cover. And what it means is that when Biffle is trying to escape around the right side of that building that they're hunkered down in, where the gas has pushed them up to, he doesn't have a nice angle there to kind of peek around the fence because the deployable cover is there. It's so rare you see that happen, but very heads up play, and Genius sees out the win for them, gets them through to conversation points when we're talking money.
Yeah, I honestly am very impressed by the deployable cover play. I think that was a great breakdown, so thanks for kind of sharing your POV on that. That was really, really cool, and it was cool to see the replays as well of that final fight. But Tiff, my big question mark in my brain is where are the points going to find themselves on the leaderboard? We're looking at a 100-point threshold, and Diaz, Biffle, and Shifty have found their way to second place in the second map. You're likely going to see them well over 50 points. I don't know how many, but it's going to be a lot.
And look, you talked about it earlier. It's that consistency is key. And one thing, when you know you have to hit a certain points threshold and then win on top of that, is if you already won map number 1, you have second place in map number 2, you're inching ever so closely to that threshold that you need to hit. That just goes to show you that you know exactly what it takes to win any game. Yes, this was a little bit of a slip up. And sometimes when that zone pulls, it's kind of, that's the RNG. Once you make it to the end game, if you don't get zone pull, that is a totally different story. Had they had zone where it would have pulled kind of further behind them, they would have had to have Picnic and Oakboy kind of pulling towards them more aggressively, and they could have just waited out and they would have had a perfect game there. But because they did not have high ground and they both teams kind of had to move towards them, it's rather unfortunate. But the fact is, they know what obviously they know what they're doing. Look, they know what they're doing. They're winning these tournaments all the freaking time. So I'm just curious to see what's going to happen next, because we know this could be over in 6 games.
Yeah, and again, it's mitigating RNG. You got to make a gamble at the end of the day on where you think the zone's going to go. That's what Enigma is saying. It's a very, very good breakdown from both of you. Enigma, I guess kind of some final thoughts here from an analyst perspective on what you saw on the map. Would love to give you a moment here to talk about it, because I think we're seeing some of the same teams find their way to the final fights. But what was so different maybe about what Picnic and Oakboy were able to do? Because like Tiff said, they found some early problems, right? They were in a little bit of a revived blender, but once they stabilized, they still found 12 eliminations and found themselves in the right position.
I think it's even more impressive the fact that they've managed to get through that blender, because so many teams didn't, because of the disgusting circle that we had. It was very southwest, very much so forcing horrible rotations for teams, which is why we're seeing a lot of early eliminations for teams, as well as a lot of, I think one of you referred to them as like wounded warriors, essentially, where they've no equipment because they've just come back in. A lot of teams couldn't get out of those blenders. So all credit where it's due to Picnic and Oki for managing to hunker down, rally together, and get themselves going again. Not only that, picking up all of the kills en route as well. But we come to that conversation about where that zone pulled to. I think that the best thing you can do when it comes to RNG is try and stack as many odds in your favor as you can, and just hope the dice roll your way. And by playing that high ground, they did exactly that. It's a very good play. Perhaps not a duo that we talk about a lot at the very top end of when it comes to winning these tournaments, but a play like that is as big brain as it comes.
Well, hey, it's the first big duos customs of Al Mazrah, and it will be the last as well. So maybe they can submit themselves as one of the top duos. We will see. We're going to head to a very short break before map 3. Don't go anywhere. This is Al Mazrah's last hurrah, and we've started off with a bang.
Head eye,
Oh, yep. I know it.
Those steak tacos, Pins. Damn, why you on my top like a John? Chill.
You have steak sandwiches for breakfast?
I did. He had extra steak, so he just made tacos.
Your poor toilet.
Yeah, that's a good one, chat. It's a good game.
Poor toilet.
A good game.
Tell me finna be curtains. So with that, do you want to land gas or do you want to land in the building, like, or do you want to still land top? There's not a lot of loot top.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we can land gas. There's always plates of money in there.
Sure, buddy. I know what you're talking about too. Just got dev air. Fuck. GG's. Red beans and rice with sausage? I think sausage is midi. Like, sausage in general is just like mid. Nah, I'm saying there's a lot going on. I'm just not a sausage kind of guy. Simp, you like sausage, huh? Freak bowl. A little freaky. Are you in, Booyah?
I think so. I can't see.
It doesn't show you're in on my team. I'd back out, go back. There we go.
If this was the normal one, bro, we'd be fucking frying right now. I'm hoping we don't get fucking targeted, bro. That's just gonna be whack.
Y'all know they coming for y'all.
With the gang.
You know they pushing y'all boys.
Woo! Chuck, thank you for the 7, baby. Royal lost the 1v1 against Shifty. I'm not surprised. Nah, Fritter, you gotta wait till the next game. But yes, you win the entire tourney. Oh shit! Hey, my bad. Bro caught a stray. Come on, baby, start the game. We're on a heater right now. Yep. God, they just know.
Snare Diffy, Biffy. He the only person that got more views than the Call of Duty actual event. The only.
Use this time to practice. We will be deploying soon.
They'll be deploying soon. Yeah, so like they probably in first right now for sure.
Yo, Shifty.
Like all the way first.
It's good, boss.
All right, so realistically, we only need 25.4 points this game.
Heard you.
And then we were about to win.
Let's get end game again. Get those 3 points.
So they already got it, like they already got their shit mapped up. So 25, they get 25 kills, then 25 points, then they just go for the win. Then they win the whole thing.
Preparation is done. Now you deploy to the war zone.
Right. There's no way that team lands here again, right?
They might.
That's fucking insane. I'm down for the free kills though.
Down skis. Down ski, 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 ski. So it looks like the exact zone we just fucking played.
Yeah. Oh, and they'll end Shireen.
Mark a drop point for your squad. You will lead them in. Avoid the gas. Get to the safe zone.
Going same spot?
Yeah.
Alright.
Let's see they little cheeky spot. Where they be landing.
I'm gonna land on the white building though.
Okay. I'm
Let me see
afloat.
if they're coming here.
Are you floating? Okay.
Yeah, I don't see him.
Anyone?
I don't see a soul.
Alright.
Loot up, baby. I'm on the other
Loot
side of
up,
them.
baby.
Heard you.
This type of game, bro, we get like just UEs, fucking it's set up. You know what I'm
Already
saying?
got
Like,
stealth.
yeah, PAs try and both get stealth. Have at least like 2 UEs between us, fucking 2 PAs, like, and just
Chill.
fucking pick people off, bro.
Yep.
Self edges, flares would be huge. Definitely should be able to get a flare now. We have like all the bathrooms from both sides.
See, just knowing that puts you in an advantage.
In them, got the no name.
You don't want that?
Damn, flares are fucking rare.
Teammates outside the safe
Yeah. If anything, you just buy one off your buy one off mine.
Yep.
Terrible too.
I wonder if you in a gulag can you use the flare, or can the person come back instantly? And would they be able to use that a gulag again?
Someone on the back there. Definitely could get a lot on rotate that way.
I have 2 PAs.
Heard you.
He about to get one of them.
I'm buy Lodi on me.
Okay.
He about to get one upstairs. He might not go upstairs. might not go upstairs.
Coming to you. I bought a flare.
Yep, I also bought the flare here. And a mini box here, refresh. And buy me a Yui that I can hold.
Okay.
And then
I can drop you a
I'll also
PA.
hold, yeah, I'll hold a PA and a Yui. Yeah, I've looted so many med cabinets and I didn't find shit.
I didn't find anything either.
I wonder if you can only buy them.
Up to Yui.
Enemy UAV active.
Oh, no, I have it. APA. I'll hold one. Alright.
And we just rotate out, right? Let me fix my inventory real quick.
Contract failed. Time's expired. Clear. Area secure. Loadout drop.
We work our way up here. No one else is like looks like he's hovering. Maybe landing like the
And can finally.
Okay.
Crowds are not getting. We always talk about this in customs, right? Especially when there's a lot on the line. These players are incredibly talented, especially with ARs, SMGs, but even with snipers. The problem with snipers is it's high risk, high reward. You can't hit your shots. You're not hitting today. You gotta switch because it's just not worth it. But you're able to get a couple picks and a couple points on the board that from distance that maybe you wouldn't get otherwise.
If you miss like.
No, very much so. I mean, I saw
like,
on
he
Rational
just missed
in stage
in
1 of
general.
World Series pull off one of the most ridiculous plays I think I've ever seen in competitive play. Essentially 1v3s a team by himself by just isolating a building, plenty of ice in the veins, and using his sniper to good effect where required and leading his team then to a map victory. But you're right, when it comes to duos, it's even more punishing if you're then refusing, not managing to land those shots.
Yeah,
It
right.
becomes very much so high risk, high reward.
Because
You
if
see a couple of missed ones
bro,
there, get them out early
you
is a nice
miss.
phrase, and hopefully
they
that's the
hit,
last of
it's
those missed
over.
shots for Unrational.
Well, the duo on screen again, second place overall on the leaderboard, but still a lot of points to go before they hit that threshold. Reminder, even if Biffle and Shifty hit the threshold this map, they will have to win next map to win it all, or the following, and so on and so forth. So even if they've already hit the threshold, job's not done. Everybody else trying to do the same.
Out of ammo.
But resource management, quite literally everything. And well, if you run out of ammo, it's one of the worst resources to run out of because you're gonna have a hard time finding any eliminations, especially at distance if you run out of AR. But we'll see what Oakley Boy's able to do. Obviously a talented player. He's done a sizable amount of things, and especially kind of some of those mid-range price pool tourneys and 2v2s or otherwise. He and Picnic been playing together for a long time, both formerly Facebook streamers, but right now in a little bit of some trouble trying to mantle and jump over some of these boxes. They have yet to find an elimination here, Enigma. I'm kind of surprised, but I guess that's kind of the name of the game when you're trying to stabilize.
They're inside on me.
Yeah, it is, and I think Oak Boy's about to get pushed as well. Gonna need to slide some plates in from that armor box and hope the Picnic can get on over, who I'm assuming has no plates either because he's still sticking at 1.5 not filled. UAV was going to be called in, but Apathy and Slack. Now, this is a duo that, we're going to go back on over, and Picnic's in big trouble indeed, and they will indeed fall to Ebates and Shiesty, and it's a duo that we haven't seen too much of. But back on with Slack and Apathy, and the play that they made earlier, by the way, absolutely ridiculous in map 1. This CDL Legends, essentially, Call of Duty Legends, who came on over to Warzone. They had a very poor rotation, put themselves essentially in this kind of position where they're trying to push up a hill. They get bullied on down a little bit, but then fantastic use of a munitions box to give themselves enough smokes to hit the rotation. Thought it was very big brain from a pair of legends that we've seen throughout the scene and over the years make some huge plays.
I couldn't agree more, but back on screen here with Shifty and Biffle, we were crying yesterday, Enigma. I don't know if you heard, but we were crying yesterday for one of our Seekers to interrogate one of the downed hiding players, and finally we see it there on main stage to get a little bit of info, and that is the name of the game, right? When you talk about customs, when you talk about specifically high-level customs like this, information gathering is key any way you can do it, but on board with Picnic Basket, seemingly for the life of at least map 3 on the line, as we're actually spectating from Oakley Boy's perspective, this is make or break and it's Picnic versus Ryda. They're friends. They know each other. They've streamed together. An opportunity for Picnic to get back into the map and try to get... Oh, wow. Just dominates Ryda. Just jukes him out of his shoes. No idea that was happening, but a big win. They still got a chance.
Still got a chance indeed. And as I said earlier, there's no such thing as a free kill in these gulags. A lot of people getting eliminated nice and early, going in and coming up against some very tough opposition. Back on board with Diaz Biffle, who unsurprisingly has the high ground, always playing very well positionally. And right now, just biding their time. I think looking to see if anyone rotates on through Zyra Observatory, catching anyone unawares, and what a team you would not want to run into. Rates and Allman, by the way, still fighting over by this horrendous open desert area, and it doesn't look good for them right now with Allman down and Rated in trouble.
Much to the chagrin of a lot of people in chat, Zyro does go down yet again on main stage. I'm not sure whether or not they have gulags, but in trouble goes for the drone. And yeah, not today, buddy. Allman fully eliminated. Rated goes down. Not sure if he's been to the gulag, but a tough map for the duo. Rated Allman's not a traditional duo on the map, but with Tommy and Noobs paired up and Aiden and Adrian paired up. Rated said, yeah, I mean, I'll take Almond. Anybody would take Almond if they had their choices. But so far, not a great map start. Just being held from a lot of different angles as we check out another team that really has been struggling throughout the life of this tournament, even though they're some of the best Warzone players in the game, and they always have been. FIFA Kill and Scummin kind together. Another kind of unlikely duo. They've played together in some tourneys, but it's fun to see them in Duo Custom try to get things going, but so far not, well, not so good.
No, not been their afternoon thus far, and resources not good here for Thief, who's completely out of plates. Not sure how Scummin's looking, but considering the passiveness of the play here, I don't think it's very good. And looks like they're going to be squeezed in from multiple angles. That buy station is nearby, but they don't want to push it yet because they're in so much trouble. Onto Intex and Believe, who are looking to smoke their way potentially out of this situation, or maybe it's just a decoy, but as the mortar rains down on top, Semtex's go loose, and you can hear the flares there coming on in, so the rotation is on, but who is it that they're up against?
Yeah, I think that's Goat Clamp that went down, and I think they might be either trying to clean up this duo. They do find Mirai, so I think they are cleaning up the duo, both from Mexico. Doesn't look like a full team wipe, so I'm not sure if he got the buyback or maybe Clamp has already come back from the gulag, but regardless, that does take out Team Mexico. Mirai and Goat Clamp, both incredibly talented players, played together for a very, very long time. And yet again, we find Biffle, Shifty, hunting edge of zone, UAV in pocket. Ton of players around. The question is, which should they go for first? Warning shots on the left to look for the players on the right. Biffle trying to find his prey off into the distance so they can push up to the next team. They do not want to get cut out in the open here. It's a little bit of a risky wrap, but apparently all eyes set forward up the hill and no one looking at Biffle. A free rotation for a free kill. Will he find it? Crack shields, no. Shifty might be able to finish it up from distance, and that's exactly what happens.
Absolutely beautiful call this, by the way. Biffle and Shifty clearly want to get on over towards the marshlands and fight the teams that are there. They feel comfortable to take on absolutely anyone, and at the minute looking to rack up kills. But they're aware of that player on their right in the high ground that could make their rotation hell. Instead, decide to play that out, clear that problem first before then reassessing marshlands. Brilliant play and another example of why those two are so damn good and leading the way today. We talked about snipers a little bit earlier on. Breadman's on board, and that is always a point of view that I want to see with a sniper rifle.
Yeah, look, if there's anybody that's going to be sniping this tournament, sure, Unrational, solid with it. Bread is very, very talented and is a great kind of player to use it so that Joe can kind of clean up some of these kills a little bit more free. Again, since it's duos, like 1v2s not totally out of the question. 1v2s against weak players, certainly not out of the question. So a pretty solid strategy, and Bread says, no information for you, buddy. Shoot your recon drone out of the air.
Someone like on this buy like
didn't miss at all. Beautiful shots out of him, but yeah, you're right. Breadman there, one of the things he can just do is burn through opposing players' plates and just keep them trapped in there. And honestly, you get yourself into a situation as a team trapped in a spot like that where you just feel hunkered in. You're almost claustrophobic. You've got a player on our roof. We've got a player not letting us leave. We're running out of plates. What do you do? And a lot of teams in those situations panic. And I think Redman's aware of that, happy to hold that lane down. On board with Exact and Foreign Jace. Now, you guys tuned in for a listen-in last game, and their comms are phenomenal. You can hear them at it again. Those golden untangibles. Oh, and Exact. Semtex is nasty, though.
Yeah, it's a nice zone off, and
almost broken on that active.
I think he called out that they're actually going to try to run out of this. They zoned off exact and said, that's my opening. Try to get out of dodge. Not quite. Now fighting back around the corner. Convenience store.
Nice.
Does get the knock. They grab the win. Now, look, their comms are immaculate. It's a huge boon, but they've still got to get a move on. I think when we looked at the leaderboard going into this map, they were in 20th place. We don't pay out past 10th. So they got a lot of ground to make up, and if they want a chance to win this tourney, they still got to get to 100 points. And now
Chad, I'm
going
watching,
down from
taking
distance,
notes. I'm
there's
gonna
just
shut
too
up.
many enemies from too many angles. Luckily, still playing together, able to get back up. The question is, how many resources do they have? Do they have enough plates to kind of fight this spot for the next couple minutes? Will they have enough at the end of the day for it really to matter? But back to the team at the top. Shifty does go down, in trouble, but Biffle able to clean up one.
Is indeed. The aware for a second is on the heady, and heady won't matter because Biffle is disgusting. Like that situation there, you've got a heady against a player out in the open. You should be feeling confident, but anyone except for Biffle that you want to be shooting against. The fact that Shifty even goes down is interesting for this duo and how well they've played so far this afternoon. Shifty will have his gulag, of course, and can get back in. And I think Biffle for now is just gonna hold up. And if Shifty does win his gulag, then is able to come straight back down on his loot. They can reset, go again. Another one of those moments where you just, so many teams will falter there. So many teams will fall, and that bit of individual quality sees them on through.
Yeah, I think a lot of players would back up because they don't have cover there, right? And Biffle says, no, I know I have health advantage. I can win this. I'm not going to miss my shots. But now, notably, by the way, I'm not sure how many Shifty has. They are playing together as a unit. Shifty could have 5, 6, who knows? Notably, Biffle only has 1 here in the 4th circle, much lower than in the past. And again, they need 26 points to break that threshold of 100 to even have a chance to win match point next map and take it in 4. Right now, not looking fully likely, but still plenty of lobby to be played as the gulag begins to close here just shortly. 28 teams remaining. They can find a sizable amount of kills in the final circle, especially if they win this map. They only need 13 to breach that 26-point margin, but still, there's a chance they could be a little bit under 100. Then we'll have to add an extra map on top of that. If they get to 99.9, it's not going to be enough, but team in second, in trouble. Oakley cut out in the open, not enough cover to work with. Couple teams left, right, center, and now we're swimming with Smicks.
It's Biffle who picks up Oak Boy. So first on second team, and it looks like second team are going to be in big trouble, assuming Shifty as well manages to get back in off his gulag. That then gives Team Biffle an even more sizable advantage at this point. He has indeed, although low on plates, but finishes off E-baits elsewhere. And Biffle with the shots gets another down. If it's not incredible decision making, it's straight shooting. It's just beautiful, just ice under pressure as well. No, you'd feel that these boys were playing a pub sometimes. That's Super Evan. You're just laying out over the other side of the road. Not a problem.
Nice.
The boy as talented as this, and Al Mazrah continues to belong to these two gents.
They just have the right positions, and I think it's something worth noting. Like, we always hype up, of course, Biffle and his ability to slay. And we did it during World Series of Warzone, right? And but one of the things we noted during World Series of Warzone, and we can note again right now, is Shifty's ability to IGL. He was kind of morphed into that role with the trio of these two plus Sage. As all 3 were Slayers, we weren't sure whether or not they're really ever going to break out. With enough time and Shifty enough time in that role, they became a powerhouse that is quite literally the unstoppable force. No one could touch them, and seemingly that's still the case. Time and time again, we see these tourneys. We continue to hype them up for a very good reason, because right now this tournament is not even close, but hopefully somebody else can break into it and make it fairly competitive at the top. We will see. It is worth noting, by the way, that was a full team wipe on Picnic's team, who did get 27th overall. So our second place team, at least currently, is out of this map, which gives us a little bit more of an opening to creep up this leaderboard if you're a team like Team Jowo, or otherwise this may be 4th, 5th, 6th, etc.
Plenty of opportunity indeed, and not one right now that FaZe Booyah is managing to take advantage of. You are still alive, but you have 0 kills. We spoke about it earlier. You're gonna need some of them if you want your placement multiplier to mean anything, and as a duo, they don't look too comfortable right now, and it looks like Biffle's run into someone in the bushes, and that's always a frustrating situation to come across, but reinforcement flares are plenty. I think Biffle had a couple on his body as well, so stacking those up, giving them opportunities to reset if they need it. Noobs and Tommy then get immorted. They do actually have a deployable buy on their roof as well, so a relatively unassailable position over here in what is known as the Juki spot, but Biffle's still in trouble, and I don't know how long you want to stick around here.
Oh, He's on,
my God.
He's on. Is he even on 1 HP? I mean, that
I
was
don't
like,
think so.
That was like half an HP. How is he alive and gets all plates back in? Shifty in trouble, though. Man, this is a blender, yet somehow they're still up, and another flare has been found. They get him back into the lobby. A tough rotation, though, especially without a gas mask. Going to come in with little to no health, if any, but was able to get Shifty up. They're going to continue to creep up this placement point multiplier. I don't know if it's going to be 26 points as Biffle falls, but even still, still an opportunity to make it here. Shifty going to be floating for a little bit. Again, multipliers start here, especially at 17. We're at 1.4x multiplier. Tommy and Noobs were inside the top 10 and have a chance to move up the leaderboard dramatically if they can win this one.
A ridiculous play there, potentially by Biffle, by the way. The call out that comes in as Biffle's crawling up towards the edge. He's calling out that he's got a reinforcement flare on his body, smokes it just before he goes down to allow Shifty to land on it to potentially buy him back in. Ridiculous composure in the moment like that. You were so far ahead in the tournament, and these boys are just walking through ridiculous high-level decisions like that. Now we on board them with Booyah and Swag, and there's a couple of kills. We said that they needed to hook them up, and what has gone from 0 from moments ago is 4 kills now for Booyah. This team's starting to heat up a little bit.
Yeah, this is a bold strategy to go for the revive there without gas mask, and I think Booyah's banking on the fact that there's going to be one over here, and I think he might have been right, but it might have died right before he got there. I think we're going to see Booyah go down. Swag barely might make it into the next zone. I'm not sure, but I think we're down to the final. I think we're on 11 teams, so just outside of the top 10 multiplier, which will be the 1.6. That's what you're looking for. There it is. You've achieved it, 4 and Jace exact. They were in 20th place going into this map and an opportunity to go massive. They take down OP Mark. That's another team wipe. Top 9 now. And look who's still alive on 1 HP with the pistol.
Oh, he's still
1
alive.
HP. Sean J goes down.
Oh my God.
Doesn't even blink. What is going on?
How is he still alive? How are you still involved in this game? How are you we're talking top 3? At this point, I wouldn't put it past him to win the whole thing from right there. Intex locked up in a bathroom. Believe in the bathroom just across. Perhaps exchanging notes. Biffle's now looking for an opportunity to scrounge together some gear. Claymore, well, I mean, this boy can do absolutely anything with anything. Raining in shots from distance.
Pistol and a dream. Needs one more place to make top 5. Somehow have scrambled out of the craziest situation to make top 5. It still might not be enough depending on their eliminations, but if Shifty has somewhere around like 7, 8, which is certainly possible, and you can make top 5, yes, Biffle gets top 5. That was his goal. 1.8x multiplier. The question is, how many eliminations do they have as a team? Did they hit match point? We don't know yet, but job's not finished for the rest of the teams on the map, and it's Believe, and it's Intex. Both still up on edge of gas with durables, trying to make a pathway for themselves into this next zone.
Trying to find a way in this gas station. You can hear the call outs. Whatever team is on top of there has a beautiful position to see this out, but the smoke grenades are going to cover. Believe in Intex up to the fence line, slipping, sliding, trying to find a way perhaps to some sort of safety. Instead, no, they want control of this roof, and they're going straight for it. Dead, he popped.
Finds one on top of the roof. Free kill. They didn't even know they were coming. Too much noise going on. We'll see. They continue to push up. Believe grabs an angle, goes down. Unfortunately, Intex doesn't have an angle. Tries to get the cleanup and loses Believe in the process. A huge mistake. Should have just full committed up the ladder to win the gunfight. Is Goat Clamp on the other side, who's been playing his life magnificently through the length of this tournament, which feels like days, but it's only been 2 and almost 3 maps here. 3 teams remaining, but only 1 duo remaining. Intex a solo. Goat Clamp a solo likely. But there is a duo out there, a total of 4 players, and it looks like they're on the other side at the next zone. That duo will win. The question is, who is it?
Right now, Intex just trying to stay on up. Happy to let the others do the fighting for him. Top 1v2, and this team on the roof, it boils back to just moments ago where they could have cleared this roof to be their own. Intex can't go anywhere. Is he just going to give it up? He does indeed, but that is not a bad finish. Who is it, though, who comes out on top? I've missed it just as that the graphic comes on up. But Intex there, you call it back to that moment where they're climbing up the roof. The deadies popped. It's a beautiful play to get up the ladder, and get the initial down, but then there's some sort of mistiming essentially between Believe and Intex that stopped them from getting up at the same time. It's so unfortunate, and it could have been their victory, but second place with 16 kills. That's a very good map indeed out of that duo.
Yeah, a very good map, but it's Mirai TV and Goat Clamp that grabbed the victory over Believe in Intex. It was that duo that was alive at the end, probably just split to hold different angles. They pick up the other solo, and they win the game. The team from Mexico comes out on top. These guys are dynamic on the map, and they're continuing to showcase that yet again by grabbing the win. However, you're right, Enigma, a fantastic map. I think it was 16 eliminations there for Intex and Believe, and they get that 1.8 times multiplier. But Tiff, here's the story, because there's a lot that's going to happen on the leaderboard, and I'm glad you're back with us to help me with this. There's a lot of math that's about to happen, but I think Shifty and Biffle had 14 eliminations at the end of that map. At a 1.8x multiplier, that's 25.2. The big question in my mind, is that enough to breach 100, or are they just shy?
I thought they needed 26. So for me, I'm looking just shy. I thought you were going to say, oh my God, I'm so happy you're back on this broadcast so you can do this math for me. But thankfully, you already did it. As we look through a lot of these replays, though, let me just tell you, getting to that top 5, he knew what he had to do, but I don't think it was going to be enough. Of course, we'll see the leaderboard at some point later, but we'll have to see, you know, could we have our first team that has meet that win condition threshold? But I loved the comms towards the end game, guys. It was at one point a 1v1v1, potentially a flare coming through, making it a 1v1v2, and then initially that 1v2. That was just kind of a horrendous moment. But if we've learned anything, and there's one thing that you should know about Warzone, it's always the high ground. You just need it.
Yeah.
Always.
Especially in that moment, right? I do think, looking back on it, we're get a chance to look at some of these replays. I think it was Tommy and Noobs that actually had a decent map as well. Booyah went big after kind of Enigma called him out to pick up a couple of eliminations. But this is the moment right here. 11 teams remaining, and Biffle grabs the kill and then holds out till top 5. That's the moment you look back on and say, okay, that's ice in the veins. Literally 1 HP, wins the gunfight with the pistol before Sean can react and goes big there. But according to the math, 25.2 I don't think is enough to breach the 100-point threshold. They wouldn't have won the tournament there anyways, even if Biffle got one more kill, but they would have been ready for match point. This next map, all they need to do is get 1 point likely, or less, which isn't possible, 1 point likely to breach the threshold, and then the next map is when they're on match point. That's when they're eligible to win the whole tourney by winning a game. So a lot's going on behind the scenes, but a lot of fun to watch that map. And Tiff, you said it just a second ago. High ground is everything. What else did you see while we were going through that? Because it was a little bit of chaos and a lot of just teams trying to restabilize and find their footing after a little bit of a blender of the early game.
Yeah, it was just really tough. And at this point, I think it's solely attributed to the fact that this is duos, right? We see a little bit more aggressive, and the lobby dies out relatively quickly. Throughout that game, I was kind of pilfering through some of the streams, and by the 3rd or 4th circle, we're down to like 40 or 50 players, the most part. And I think a lot of it is once you kind of lose out on your duo, we talked about this in the pregame, it is so hard to stabilize and get that regain throughout, even with the utilization of reinforcement flares. So you have to be in kind of a safe area to be able to even utilize them, because you kind of have that delay of throwing it up. Plus everyone's looking at you, and yeah, you're throwing smokes, but people have cast-offs and they're just going to keep frying until they hit the hit marker, and they're just going to send you.
Yeah, and Enigma, I loved the call out from you about that play from Biffle to creep up to the edge of zone, smoke his dying body basically, and say, hey, I've got a flare here. You can land on where my body was to get the flare and get me back up. A crazy circumstance, and that's ultimately what got them to top 5. But Enigma, I did get word from production. They scored a total of 25.2, which takes their total to 99.8. They were 0.2 points away from breaching that 100-point threshold and being on match point going into this next map. But instead, they need to score 1 point to breach the threshold this map and the following map. If they win that one, the tournament is over and they've won it all. So we're talking about splitting hairs, quite literally splitting the splitting of hairs even.
No, it is indeed. And so anyone who's perhaps joined us late or still unsure at this point, with them being not at that 100-point mark, they need to get there, more than likely in this next map, let's face it, and then go and win a further map. However, if they had already hit that 100-point marker, and let's say that they had, and they then win the next map, they win the whole tournament. Just settle that discussion down a little bit because I know that it's probably still ongoing. Trying out this format for the first time, absolutely love it, by the way. But yeah, calling back to that play that he made, he's at that point, you could see that Biffle was well aware, you know, he's managed to pop off the reinforcement plays, well aware that he's going to die. And I don't know about you guys, but when that happens to me, and I'm kind of like, all right, I'm checked out at this point. I'm not really paying too much attention. He goes through his backpack while he's running, assigns the reinforcement flare to be in his first slot in case he can get back so that Shifty goes down, perhaps if he's in the air. And what he does is he's using his movement as well as he can to then get as close to the edge of zone, pops down a smoke because this team's on the top of 3-story, and it allows Shifty to come back in, land on that flare, and bring him back in for that end play. It's a ridiculous set of decisions, one after the other, made under pressure. It's the quality that comes out of these boys, the way their brains work, absolutely phenomenal. And moments like that are prime reasons why they dominate over these last couple of months, why this map belongs to them.
Yeah, well, job's not done. We still have at least 2 more maps to go and potentially a lot more than that. Still a lot on the line as well for the other teams. And just because you're only 0.8 points away doesn't mean you don't drop a banger in this map, really to secure yourself on that leaderboard in case anybody else can breach that 100 points. A lot still to happen. We're going to head to a very short break before the next map, but don't go anywhere. Al Mazra's last hurrah day 2. We're still just getting started. Well, we are back with Almaz's last hurrah, and the first 3 maps have been unbelievable. Tiff, you gotta take us through this leaderboard because I can't even imagine being Biffle and Shifty at the top. We already told you what the score was, folks, 99.8. But let's take a look at that leaderboard, Tiff, and see where everybody else is at, because again, everyone's still trying to breach that 100-point threshold, and still technically no one has done it yet.
Yeah, 99.8 is pretty criminal, not gonna lie. 0.2 off, but you know, hey, GG go next. They fought for it. They thought they had enough to do with it, but it's Team Intex, right? Coming into map number 3, I think they were only at like 23.8 points, so a bomb finish for map number 3 to get them up into second place with 52.6. Team Noobs 44.8. Breadman and Picnic Basket gonna round out the top 5.
The same people win the tournaments over and over again.
The differential between first and second place is gonna allow Biffle and Shifty a little bit of breathing room to kind of try and get over that threshold. I mean, come on, look, they better be on that threshold next, unless someone decides to go Hydro or lands immediately on them and just dumpsters them from the get-go. I just don't see that happening.
We got a couple more days. I know you gonna be grinding that.
Yeah, that's right, and I think it's a great shout, Enigma, right? Like, we have one more map of everybody trying to get as many points as they can, and then all of a sudden, Biffle and Shifty are going to be on match point, and the following map, if they win that, it is game over, period, end of sentence, tournament's done. However, if they don't, we continue and keep grinding up this leaderboard, so everybody else is basically racing against the clock to try to breach 100 points, and if they breach 100 points and then win after that with 2 points, and Diaz Biffle's team's on 180, it doesn't matter. Whoever wins that match after you've breached your 100 point threshold wins the tourney. And if I'm Biffle and I'm Shifty, I'm still running up the score just in case.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
Let me know when you get back. I'll tell you what's meta and stuff like that.
The winning team then freezes the rest of the leaderboard. You don't want to leave any sort of situation where you are caught up by other teams. So very much just got to keep pedal to the floor right now. And looking at some of these other teams, I do think that if you've had a bad start to the day, for example, I'm seeing that, for example, one of my favorites, Team Jukies, they've dropped down.
Business going good. I got my
you're thinking, all right, I've not had a good start so far, but
gotta upgrade my PC.
Trying to get a few more points.
So that's why I took it from my business and brought it to the crib. But I'm upgrading my PC right now as we speak.
On Team Diaz Biffle.
For the new Call of Duty, got my new stuff. I'm really ready already.
How good that duo is,
like I'm ready.
You've also got to consider that if the leaderboard freezes,
I will be grinding. So when you get back on Monday,
you are not in the money right now.
I hit you up.
In the position that you want to be in.
See who
So
you playing with.
You don't want that clock to end. You want to keep it running. And at some point, you've got to change up your strategy and perhaps again put some pressure on that Diaz Biffle squad.
Well, it's time for game number 4, so Tiff, we'll bid you farewell for now. Enigma, let's hop into the game and see what's happening, because game number 4 is an important one, albeit it's not that important for Biffle and Shifty. They technically only need 1 kill. If they get insta-wiped off the rip, one of them needs to win the Gulag, and they've done it. So I really do want to check out a lot of our other teams to see where they're at, especially the teams inside the top 10 already that are trying to breach that 100-point threshold as well. Team Intex, Noobs, Breadman, Picnic Basket, even Mirek and Goat Clamp, right? They won that last map. They're in 6th place overall at 39.2 points. Not close to 100 yet, but they need to get closer. All right, so we'll tune in to Biffle and Shifty when we can, but really all they need is 1. Once they have 1, we don't really care where they go from here. Let's check out a couple of our other teams inside the top 10.
Loot this and take the chopper to you, because maybe
Team Noobs here. This is the squad sitting in 3rd currently on 44.8 points. You are indeed hearing that correctly. That is indeed the gap currently between the top 3 teams. It is absurd, but right now, if you're Tommy and Noobs, it's been a solid afternoon, but I know, I spoke to Tommy after the World Series of Warzone. They did well at the World Series of Warzone. Took home a chunk of cheddar, and Tommy was furious that he hadn't won it. Furious that his team hadn't come out on top. So I know the competitive blood that runs in that boy's veins. He will be doing absolutely everything to come out on top, despite being up against it right now.
Yeah, and again, Ray, like, I think our pricing breakdown is really important to remember. It's $25,000 for first, and it's not 100% assured for Biffle and Shifty like it usually is at moments like this. When you think about traditional tournaments, you have a certain amount of drops and you're up by 50, 60, 70. Like, they've already won and you can just count them out. That's not how this tournament format works, but they still have the best chance. As we take a look at Blade and Vortex, they've spotted one here in Observatory. This has been their landing spot time and time again through World Series of Warzone, and they would love to take over this POI, wipe everyone from it so they're not getting shot in the back. And, well, I think that might be exactly what just happened, albeit Vortex does trade for 1.
Does, but if you're Blade, you're pretty annoyed about that. It looked like a really good position. Blade essentially on top of Central Building, a really good lookout spot over the top of Observatory, an area that if they've been landing a lot, they know very well and want to build from. So frustrating to get shot in the back and end up trading 1 for 1. You do not want to be using that gulag up early. Entry kits are banned, so it's your one and only chance, unless you manage to find some reinforcement flares down the line. Redman putting that chopper to use, and this is something that we've spoken about a bit throughout the life cycle of Warzone. In Warzone 1 you saw a lot more of it, Warzone 2 not so much, but using choppers to traverse the map, you can see that circle's quite northern, particularly northeastern, and if you're a team that likes to land away from that area, you've got a hell of a rotation on, unless you can avoid all the problems and all the check marks. They're doing exactly this. Bring a chopper in and put yourself somewhere central circle where you want to be.
Yeah, it's a great breakdown, and I think especially with the kind of exclusivity of how many choppers are on the map, there's really not that many. So if you can get one early, you can even land outside, way outside the zone to grab it, loot up, get your loadout, then fly in, and you get some information like this. You can kind of fly over the masses with a UAV and see where a lot of people are. This is a massive information gathering tool as long as you can do it safely, and so far so good for that duo. So likely you will see them towards near the end of the end game here, potentially inside the top 10, getting some of those multipliers and hopefully some kills to boot, but still a long way to go for that. As we check in with some of our other teams, seemingly Booyah and Swag in trouble, and well, Booyah gets slammed, and they are out of this lobby, having already been to the gulag. They're gone.
They are indeed, and it's not been a great afternoon for them so far. I unintentionally called them out in the last map, and Booyah stepped it up and put 4 on the table, but this time it's not going to happen. Smixy, comms are coming in, getting pushed while down. Echo's going to try and provide cover. The Semtex will follow up and down her again and trying to bring the comms in, but there's 2 players. Echo's got a job on and deletes both! How on earth did Sultify and Exian, sorry, manage to not see that situation through? Echo was in so much trouble. It looks like there's more people here.
Job's not done, and every single time we come to this perspective, Smixy or Echo are in trouble. They're always in a blender. They've been non-stop trying to fight teams, and albeit Echo has some heroic plays to win the 1v2, it's the third party that gets the better of him, and I think that was a classic stacking problem. The 2 players stacked right in front of one or the other, both looking to shoot through the window, and sure, TTK dramatically decreased, but all it takes is some headshots and carve through both of you in one clip, and I think that's exactly what happened. Unfortunately, third party, though, makes it difficult. Now, into the gulag, and again, if they go out here, it almost doesn't matter. They've already grabbed their 1 kill. They're going to be on match point in the next lobby, but they would like to win this gulag, get back into the lobby, and hopefully continue to rack up this tally, because again, like I said before, Enigma, if they get up to 150, 60, 70, 180 points potentially, still having not yet been able to win a map, at the very least, if somebody else creeps beyond that 100-point threshold and wins and takes the win from them, they're 100% going to be assuredly getting second. So something they still want to do is get kills.
Yeah, definitely. As you said earlier, it typically in traditional Warzone formats, you would almost put every cent on Biffle and Shifty coming out on top, but there's every opportunity for them to still lose this despite their sizable advantage. So you're right, the worst case scenario for them wants to be second at this point at least, and we speak so often about these boys positioning, and Shifty now on top of a roof overlooking this entire POI of Zarqwa and raining shots down. Casual 363 AR bullets in the pocket and scouring for more targets.
They smoked this.
Yeah, they're just trying to get some information, talking a little bit back and forth about what they're seeing, where they could go from here. Again, I think Shifty, certainly the IGL, but something this team always does well, whether it's duos or trios, they talk to each other and make decisions together, especially when they're not under kind of panic. In panic, they listen to one, but when there's some room to work, they have some conversations and then make a decision together. So a huge boon to a good kind of high chemistry team. You often see that with the likes of TBE as well. But as we swap over back to Blade and Vortex, they've been pushed out of Observatory down here near Hydro and kind of just looking for their next prey or potentially the next place that they want to hold down. They're a little bit split from each other, which is a little bit uncharacteristic in duos, especially if you're trying to kind of creep up this leaderboard and you're not inside the top 10 already. Be curious to see where they go from here.
Well, this duo of the World Series of Warzone European champions last year, and generally speaking, that trio of Blade, Vortex, and Savvy Ultras, there's been a lot of questions asked of them this year. You know, they do really well last year in the World Series of Warzone, managing to win it by half a point, and then Blade also picks up the solo YOLO, which is a heck of an afternoon if you're an individual there. But other than that, the results aren't that great. And with a lot of questions, you know, did you peak? Was that all you really had to offer? They want to see some more out of them. They had a really good stage 2 in the World Series this year, but then floundered a little bit when it came to stage 1 as well as the finals. So looking to see if them two can really get involved and make a statement today. And speaking of statements, Breadman's just raining hellfire on whichever poor soul is over the other side of this desert.
This reminds me, I've been making some hunting references recently, and we always talk about duck hunt and things like that. This is like big game hunting with like an elephant rifle. I mean, you're shooting so far away that if you're almost just praying that you connect by leading these bullets by, you know, several feet in front of the person that's running. And it was a great effort there from Brad, but let's get into the action here as it's Dania and Glory do find Slack. Slack and Apathy have been in a blender all day today and have yet to kind of win a big encounter on main stage, just being chased by multiple teams, and again lose another one. Danny on top. That's one now for them, and Glory and Danny trying to figure out what they want to spend their money on at this free buy station now that they own it.
I think the thing with Select and Apathy is, yeah, the one big moment I can think of this afternoon is when they were escaping an opponent.
That's
they
right.
haven't done very well in terms of winning things, and well, we actually haven't. Oh, Adrian in big trouble. Does he get shot in the back? Was that the teammate there? Well, change on over to Clamp, and Clamp here, part of that Mexican squad. And there's a story I always feel like bringing up when I talk about these Mexican sides, and that is I once casted a LAN in Amsterdam, and Panda flew on over from Mexico to take part in that LAN to prove himself, and in that manages to win the tournament, but doesn't make enough money back to even cover and profit on the plane ticket, just to show how committed this community is towards proving themselves and going the extra mile to really make statements. I really love seeing them put up numbers. And Clamp here with Mirror, an opportunity to really do that today. We've seen Clamp involved in some engagements already. Can they get themselves deeper into that money?
Yeah, and again, they won the last map in the last remaining duo, and they are in 6th place because of it at 39.2 points. So certainly a nice little score line to be inside the top 10. You're assuredly making money if it closes out sometime soon from Biffle & Co. But again, trying to breach that 100-point threshold. But back over here to Oakley Boy, and they've dropped down a little bit, I believe, to 5th place. Actually tied technically with Mirai, I think, winning that tiebreaker on the leaderboard. And they are way out here in the deserts, and there's several vehicles people are picking up to kind of rotate in. It looks like there might be one more that they should be going for here to rotate in and make sure they have at least a semblance of cover to traverse these wide open spaces.
I've never actually
It's quite often on these wide open spaces where teams are getting picked off, flicking through the feeds while I was sat in the back earlier. Some teams are just getting caught out in these spots, little cover available. You can see there's some vehicles nearby that could perhaps put to use if they can get to them, but otherwise it's a very difficult spot to be sat in right now. And leaving in text, this is one of our squads very much so involved in the money. 2nd place currently, although 52.6 points before this map, and that's a down there on Queen, and picking up bullets on the second as well. 2nd place surely not getting away for very long. The one thing to be very careful of here, if you are in text and believe, is that the stronghold is active nearby. Big risk of being picked up on that UAV and third-partied.
It's a great shout. It is usually the signal flare, as it were, the proverbial signal flare that once you grab a knock, you push the equation. There's only one other player. You've got player advantage, but you're right. Likely going to be a third party. So you've picked up the team wipe. You close it out quickly, which is good news. You can prepare yourself if a team elects to push you from the outskirts of the circle. Now, they already are outside of zone, so likely they've given themselves some position to be able to hold this spot and then Oh, no! Oh, I had a nice point there, but it is gone, splattered with the likes of Oakley Boy. As Picnic goes down from the vehicle too. OP Marked is on a tear using the vehicle. Are you kidding me? The double splatter. Luckily, Oakley Boy's got a self-revive, and I think he's going to shoot out the tires. This is some sort of semblance of an action movie that we're watching right now. This is ridiculous.
I mean, you don't see it too often. We've spoken about how great vehicles can be as an escape tool, as a traversal tool. Well, it turns out they're for offensive warfare as well. Oak Boy here just hoping not to be turned into roadkill, slipping, sliding, trying to use the smokes, and he will be out of here. Shaded step, no P mugged. driving a team out of the lobby. And that is something that we actually saw in the World Series, by the way. Team FIFA Kill well on their way to winning map 6. They had a ridiculous number of kills, could have seen them propulsed way up the leaderboard, and they get splatted by a team that were in 3 running around in Jeeps the whole time. So it can be effective. I don't know how happy people are though when they get run over.
I mean, that was the most coordinated 2-vehicle effort. They were like moving. They've done this before. They have to. OP Mark Shaded Step, they run around with vehicles together, I guess, and practice that, because that was the most coordinated vehicle, kind of like it felt like a chess game. Like he was trying to dodge out of the way, but every move you made, you were getting backed into a corner. Oh my gosh. The smokes also, you can't really dodge vehicles if there's a smoke, but I do respect the play. Trying to use the mini-map. Okay. Back onto the action, though. Brett has not left his sniper's perch. Just trying to get a few picks. And I don't know which is better, the vehicle gameplay or 500-meter snipes, but I'd love to see maybe a little bit of both.
I definitely want to see the 500-meter snipes come on in, but my question at this point, Joe has been up here for what feels like an eternity, essentially has a house share on this tower. But 1 kill. I don't know how many of these Joe is managing to finish off. I'm assuming not too many, considering that Redman's essentially shooting at something far out. Joe's reach. Never mind. That's exactly what we wanted to see. Redman tells me to shut my mouth and also eliminates Lennon from the lobby and potentially another one right here.
Okay.
Don't do it.
2 things that are going on right now. I'm sure that was OP marked or Shaded Step that were down in that vehicle, jumped out and shot a Joker up at this helicopter, which then made the helicopter flying, the helicopter pilot bail out of the helicopter. Brent cleans up one on Lennon. I think Joe was credited that kill technically. This is chaos. I have not seen customs gameplay like this in a very long time.
It's certainly been a different afternoon, different format, different playstyles, I suppose. Of course, Biffle and Shifty are still alive, because why wouldn't they be? All the UAVs in the world providing all the information. And this is one of the things as well. This is a scary moment when Biffle and Shifty have all the information and then they go, okay, this way. Because whichever team is at the other end of that direction is in big, big trouble.
Yeah, and by the way, Biffle's already on 5, looking at the Gulag closing. Is a little bit further along than he was last map. So don't worry, they've reached the 100-point threshold, but the tournament cannot be ended this map. They're just kind of increasing that scoreline to make it harder for anybody to try to take over if it comes down to it. We'll see. But tuning in with some of our other teams inside the top 10, pushing towards the 100-point threshold. Mirai, Goat Clamp, again, one last map. Inside the top 10, currently tied for 5th. Comms are flying, and right now, Enigma playing edge of zone, but this building is inside of zone. So as long as they clear the POI, which it looks like they are able to, or at least the building, several resources to use, but we swing over to the action, and Biffle's taking out Believe.
Yeah, believe in Intex at the other end of that direction that Shifty and Biffle decided to go. And one of the things about that call that Shifty and Biffle made, by the way, was just essentially patrol the edge of zone. Anyone running on in, they're just going to set up, get themselves on the headies, and if you're looking at... Oh my goodness me. You see the gun poke through the floor there. I think it caught everyone by surprise, including me. Well, I guess how do you play that? Well, yeah, you got to be very careful, first of all, of mines that can't be shot out. You can destroy, but I wouldn't do it from that distance, and I guess not.
I think that's their teammates. I'm not sure. But a mortar strike on top of them is bad news, at least for the team above them. But they're on edge of zone. They're about to have to run through some wide open spaces and some buildings, and you hear the aggressive comms come through of it's now time to go now, go now. And I actually like this rotation a lot, called out from Glory, to rotate with the wall so they can get a little bit of an advantageous position to get to the zip line. The question is, will they get shot out? No, I think they're just coming in so late that no one's looking at them. They might be able to make it to some high ground in zone. This is a great rotation.
It is very risky, but could very well pay off. They've picked their target. They will land cleanly on it. There's a bunch of loadouts here as well, so that's opportunity to pick up players that are coming on in. But actually, Glory's been picked up. Not exactly sure where from. I don't think Annie understands where from either. Smoke goes out. Res should come in, but surely there's a team flying at this location. Won't matter. The res comes on through, but that's a burning of 3 plates that you don't need right now, and there is indeed company underneath.
Well, quick note from production is that Intech's team has been full wipe. They were in second place overall, by the way, going into this map. So a big miss from them. I wonder how many points they had. It certainly wasn't enough to get to 100, but at least creeping towards it. The question is, who's going to potentially supplant them for second place? They can win this map. Mirai, Goat Clamp could be that team. And tied for 5th. On edge of zone, a little bit of a gas mask to boot, but they're going to be fighting Gania and Glory on the other side and getting shot from another angle as well. There's going to be a lot of teams here. There's 17 teams remaining, Enigma. Still plenty of room to work with from players' standpoint to get to that big multiplier. 1.6 is top 10. You need 7 teams to fall.
A lot of teams, not a lot of zone, and in particular, when that zone moves next, it is a very open area, so teams here perhaps want to consider early rotations towards the few edges of buildings that are in the zone, but at the same time, there's probably a lot of people sat in windows right now thinking the exact same thing and looking to catch them on rotation. We're on board with Shifty and Biffle, so whatever call they make is definitely correct. Ignore whatever I'm going to say because these boys understand this game far better than I could ever hope to. But right now, Shifty's nervous about something. I'm guessing someone's underneath him. Biffle,
I cracked that guy.
let down by the loadout. Is he under pressure or is he just chilling for a minute?
About the same skin.
He might just be chilling for a second. I mean, look at this next zone, though. There is not a lot of cover, especially on their side. And doesn't look like a vehicle now to grab since the gas has collapsed. They're going to have to create an opening somewhere along the way. And I think the read is that there might be a team in this building still. I think this is the reason Shifty's waiting. I think there might be a team in this building still that he's trying to hold out from. And Biffle's moved in. Shifty trying to play backup, but we're going to tune in over to Aiden and Adrian, and there it is. Shifty was right. There was somebody in zone, and he just outweighted them. The patient play, the tortoise and the hare. The tortoise wins out. The problem is the tortoise is going to get shot on the way in. He's going to lose his life in the process. There was an even slower tortoise still inside the building somehow, probably a durable gas mask.
Well, that's what I was going to say there. Shifty, unfortunately, with only a standard gas mask, isn't able to stay in that zone for very long. So anyone who was underneath him and rocking a durable was just going to try and outweigh, and it looks like that's the entire situation that unfolds. And, well, Aiden and Adrian here just hugging these dumpsters, trying to light up whoever's on top of that hill, because that is the strongest position right now. You could well be picked off from the other side of it because it slopes down over on that side of that mound, but Noobs and Tommy here, never mind, they have the sizable advantage. Couldn't see it because of the bounty that sat on the building, but looks like they've got themselves a little slab of cover. And Oak Boy taking a leaf out of Juki's book from earlier, perhaps, and just finding somewhere to lie down, pick up a couple of placement points. This is all about to explode. There are 7 teams, 11 players, a lot of solos. This is about to turn into hell.
Joa Breadman, they outlasted. Will they survive the final fights to make top 5? They have found a few more eliminations along the way, and they've got high ground position. A nice zone pull for them as well, especially with the durable. Bread should be able to get there first and pick up a couple other teams that might try to rotate as well. He spots one. That's likely Aiden down below. Down on the low ground, we'll see as another couple teams are on the left-hand side. Oakley's been trying to last to the top 5. I'm not sure if he did, but we're there. We're inside the massive multiplier. 4 teams remaining. This duo is standing out amongst the rest. We thought they were trolling from on top of the radio towers, but they have a chance to win it all in this map and drastically jump this leaderboard if they play it smart, and you know they will. These guys play with their brains. They're cognitive players. They pick off a couple floaters. They're going to be sitting pretty with a ton of points and a great position.
Well, Noobs is one of the players picked out. This guy manages to pick up 3rd, and well, Aiden's trying to fly through the bag. It's scooped up, though, and that will surely be, by the way, a huge game for Team Breadman, likely propulsing them up to 2nd in the league.